But what's the?
But what happened?
What's the?
I don't know. Right, Scully, go on, shove in a bit, Scully, because we can't see you.
Oh, well, that's a bonus.
I mean, we are live
Before
now.
we've even
We're
started.
live and
Yeah.
we're abusing Scully. We're on air.
Much like the Rhinos, we're shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic before we start. Oh, people won't be asking you to Scully, don't matter.
What do we need to move up?
No,
You sure?
there you go.
Move up a bit. There you go. Hello, good evening and
A bit
welcome.
too much now, you're on my knee.
Yeah, he's sat on his knee now, which is not what he wants.
You don't get this on the Super League show, do you?
No.
Hey, let me just say this.
Halfway through his
Honest,
night.
mate, let me just say this. If he's not honest and open about Leeds tonight, if he mentions transition, he mentioned laws here and they needed a change, I'm not sitting on his knee, I'm going to strangle him. So I want the open honesty with Phil Kaplan tonight.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We have new leaders at the top of the Betfred Super League. Congratulations to Warrington, who took over top spot with their win over London on Friday night. St Helens beaten by the Dragons. So the Dragons have beaten Super League's top two, but been battered by Wigan and Salford. What on earth is happening there? Salford, speaking of the devil, beaten at home by Hull. We said, let's see how Hull react to their defeat last week. Well, they've reacted with an away win. Impressive stuff for them. Wakefield scraped over the line. Danny Brough doing what Danny Brough does and kicking a drop goal to win the game there. And Castleford, what a win for Castleford. Wigan costing me a small fortune on the old thing again. 20-0 up and lost. What the hell's happening?
Can I start with two bouquets before the brickbats like we normally do?
Just 1 second, and we will be talking about Hull KR and their fantastic win. Well done in the Championship. Come on in a minute. Well done in the Championship. What about Batley? What about Batley? Been struggling all season. They go and beat Widnes. What a win that is. The Bulls scrape past the Rams. Lee put 46 on Barrow. Halifax back to winning ways. Toronto steamroller Sheffield. Toulouse 8-2 winners over Featherstone. And the York City Knights win again. We'll talk about League One as well later. Right, Phil, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just three things really. First of all, thanks to Sandy for the Nanaimo, which is a traditional Canadian confectionery.
I think he plays in the centres for St Helens.
Yeah. Scotty's had 4. What does it taste like?
Well, sensational.
Right, there you go.
Sensational.
Right,
But
good.
two people I think that deserve bouquets this week.
Right.
First of all, Tuyo Godu. Well,
Okay.
exceptional to come up with the winning try, having had such a torrid first half.
Right.
But that summed up everything that's great about rugby league players who never give in.
Mm-hmm.
And also to Darryl Powell for leaving him out there, because we know in a couple of the games recently he's taken off James Clare and Greg Eden when things haven't been going their way. Certainly Oliver Gildart made his life a little bit of a misery in the first half, but to stay right in the game and do what he knew that he had to do and score the winning try, I thought his was the individual performance of the week, just for that never say die attitude.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Corbin Sims. So
Right.
I don't know if you were watching the NRL this week, but I only played 20 minutes with a broken arm.
Yeah, so yeah.
Steady away then.
Amazing, isn't it? So
Steady away.
hats off to everybody that plays, but that is a feat of bravery above and beyond.
It is.
That's all the positive part of it I'm done now. So.
By the way,
Hashtag positive rugby league. then.
listen, by the way, as well, I didn't do wrong on the predictions, and I predicted Wakefield
Again.
by 1.
Yeah.
Sure, I've got to be the top of the league now.
No, because
I've got. Don't
No,
say
hold
no. I've
on,
got to be the
Hold
top
on,
of the
hold
league.
on, Hold on.
Let's be honest, we were all absolute
Yeah.
rubbish last week.
we all tipped Wakefield. We all tipped Warrington.
Oh no, I tipped Wakefield by 1. I got
Yeah,
it correct.
Yeah, you get an extra
Correct.
couple of
I get an extra
points.
3
well done,
points.
Gary.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, but
I
you
went-
sort of
I
I've
went-
an extra Nanaimo.
I went Wakefield by 7 and Hull by 1. I got them the wrong way around, but never mind.
The fact is that everything we talked about last week, we got completely wrong.
I said Hull would win. I said Hull
No,
would
every team we praised last week
Yeah, but
didn't come up
is
with
that
the
not?
goods.
Is that not the
And every
now what we
team
want
that
from
we said,
Super League?
yes, absolutely. So before everybody has a go at us for getting every analysis last week wrong,
Yeah, but come
That's
on.
what we want.
Right, let's
That's
cut
what
to
we
the
want.
Hold on,
chase.
Phil,
One
hold on.
thing you can rely on is
Listen.
Leeds were crap.
Well, listen, I'm not
Leeds
getting
men.
well,
Leeds men. Let's
Well,
get
as
it
I say,
right.
we've got to cut to the chase tonight in a minute. But as I say, but as I was saying last week, right, it's all about consistency and which teams are being consistent. And I say you mentioned Catalans there. There's 2 teams they beat in Saints and Warrington, and then Catalans getting flogged 46-0 home by Salford, and then getting flogged 42-0 by Wigan, and then right, you're leading the league express. Matty Smith, who to be honest with you, away from home has been garbage like the rest of his players, and then when they beat St Helens on Saturday, saying, you know what, we owe this to the fans. Hold on, what about the performances against Salford and Wigan last week? You know, what about the performances for the fans? I'm talking about consistency. Fans will always accept if you get beaten by the better side on the day, as I well know, but if you put in the effort and commitment in, they'll accept that. But boy, oh boy, again, the consistency. You look at Salford. How garbage is Salford? Do you know what the problem is with Salford? Are the players believing in their own publicity? About everybody saying how good they can play? How attractive a rugby league they can play? I'll tell you what, that's the problem with Salford. I think they believe in their own publicity. And one thing to show with their lack of consistency, they're not making a 5, they're getting nowhere near the 5.
So that's Salford will win this week.
I'm done for now.
Right,
So-
okay. Right, let's start off then. We won't start off with Leeds, even though we all want to. They'll keep, they've been causing a Twitter storm. 90% of people now say that Leeds are in crisis. That was on Twitter.
What we should say though with these Twitter polls is that they are only people who vote in them who are giving their opinion. And most of the people who vote in these things are people who want to upset people. This is why another rugby league media outlet who did the poll, everyone on Twitter hates the golden point, was a load of crap because it's just people who wrote tweets to them saying the golden point.
Hey, Richie.
But Leeds are in crisis.
Hey,
Leeds are in crisis.
Richie, have you read the 2 letters in the League Express about going on about me with the golden point? First of all, I said about the golden point, I wanted it coming in when they now brought in around about the 2003, 2004. And one Castleford here that says, I've only said I like the golden point because Leeds won last week. I don't really think so. And by the way, the Castleford fan, get his name anyway. You get his name, the Castleford fan. And by the way, right, if Paul McShane had done this properly, he wouldn't have got the golden point. So blame your own players. Don't be blaming me because I like the golden point.
What's on is no one writes to League Weekly about your scoring. I don't know why that is.
Don't be blaming the golden point on me.
They don't listen to it in Lancashire, that's why.
Fair enough. Right, where are we going to start? We're going to start by asking people if you're watching on Facebook, share with your friends. If you're watching...
One second, Matt. I've got him. G. Dawson at Castleford. And also somebody from Harrogate's had a pop as well. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, I want the golden point in years 2003.
West Ham, North Yorkshire.
Who was that guy's name?
G. Dawson.
G. Dawson.
Yeah.
Just sent me an email. He says, shut up. Right. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a share or a like, whatever you're doing with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, send us a comment, let us know. We have got some stuff to give away this week.
We have. Oh yeah, I need to find those. Not the 99 mobiles. They'll be gone.
No, they'll be gone. I think we're going to give away one of our fantastic Leeds in Crisis t-shirts. I've got you one, Scott. Don't worry if you don't put it on.
Leeds men.
We need to get new.
We need another poster then, don't we?
We've got signed Leeds.
Last week it was not in Crisis.
We've got signed Leeds Rhinos ball as well. We could deflate it if they won it.
Signed Leeds Rhinos.
Even Ronnie's in crisis.
Even Ronnie's gone. Even Ronnie's short of the try line. He can't even get over the try line.
Yeah. I noticed that signed ball that Tom Briscoe signed it, but apparently he did get his fingers to it. Is that right?
I don't know.
He's only playing in the pack this week with no Trent Merrin.
Yes, right. All right, come on then. Well, we'll start. Go on, we'll start with them then. Well done to Hull KR. Probably the best 40 minutes they'll put together in the first half, especially having dropped the first drive of the game. Robin Mulhern spilt the ball. They then put together they just outplayed Leeds. They outfought Leeds. They outmuscled Leeds. They wanted it more than Leeds. Leeds, to use your phrase, Gary, were pathetic. And I used 2 F's in that. Pathetic.
Well, there can't be any word for it. And also as well, when before the season started, and even 6 games into the season, using this word, we're in transition. We're in transition, right? Okay, we're in transition. Listen, this is Leeds Rugby League club we're talking about here, and don't get me wrong here, I'm a Leeds Rugby League supporter. I want Leeds Rugby League to win every game. I want Leeds Rugby League to win every trophy. But what I'm seeing here now, and I've said it in the column today, Leeds Rugby League club, we've just built a 45 million stadium. We've made 3 so-called marquee signings. One of them, well, all right, 2 then. One of them's doing very, very well. And by the way, I would imagine Conrad Hill in the next 2 weeks, if he keeps playing like he's doing, and the players keep playing like he's doing, he'll be out for the rest of the season. Because his back will go, his shoulders will go, his legs will go, because he's carrying that sign. So there's nothing wrong with Conrad Hill. But, listen fellas, this is Leeds Rugby League club we're talking about here. Why are we giving somebody a trial when he's not good enough for Leeds? I know a player at Hunslet Parkside who's better than Wellington Albert, a lad called Jamie Field as a forward. Why don't we put him on trial for 4 or 5 weeks? Because I'll tell you what, he'll do a damn job, a better job than what he's doing. The simple fact is now, with Leeds is, nobody's intimidated by him, whether they play him at home or whether they play him at Hadley. They know they can get ripped into them forwards because the forwards aren't laying any sort of foundation. And I'm sorry, I've given him enough time now. Lower here's not going to fill the number 6 jersey for that Rhinos side. Leeds are not in transition. And I'll tell you, with my phone at the weekend, and also too, I live in the Unset area. The Unset fans are absolutely delighted the way they're going, the Leeds Rugby League Club, but also too the Leeds fans. One thing for sure you can't do. And Phil supported the club a lot longer than what I have because, as I say, from a player from there. But I've been a Leeds fan since I was, when they were at Wembley. When Atke and Spiffy and Holmesy and Dilly and Cookie and Pitchy and whatever, they were ripping apart. So that was when I was 8 years of age. So I'm a supporter of Leeds Rugby League Club. If they don't smell the coffee at this moment in time, they're not in crisis, fellas. They're in relegation mode. In relegation mode.
Who's the player that's signing from Yorkshire Carnegie? The world-renowned super-duper rugby union team, which may not exist in the near future.
I don't know.
A winger who once was at
On the Melbourne Storm's books. Yeah.
Alright.
but he's on trial.
Well, we had a
Phil,
good-
why are we
I-
signing
hold on,
trialists?
hold on. We had a good chat
Because
they
we've got
need
a
to sign
salary
some
cap.
players, and they've got a salary cap. They need to get some players in.
One thing I would say, which is not to defend them, because I think the Hull KR game was the lowest ebb this season that has already had some low ebbs. We all sat here last Monday and said the manner in which they had won that Castleford game was the impetus to kick on.
You said that.
I
question was it a load of baloney, and it was proved to be a load of baloney.
But you also backed Leeds to win. Every one of us last week backed Leeds to win on the basis of
I
the
actually
fact.
put a few quid on all car on.
Yeah,
Thursday.
but when we were sat here on Monday,
Yeah.
we all said the Castleford game should be a turning point.
Phil, let's get to the performance.
Right,
No, no, no,
because
no,
of
we've
the
got to
manner
see
in
it.
which they won it, we all thought that should be the turning point. So the first thing you see when you go to a game, if there's been a turning point, is their attitude in the first 10 or 15 minutes. That was arguably the worst 10 or 15 minutes that they've had all season. Everything that they'd done the week before was completely undermined by how poor they were in that 10 or 15 minutes, which is to take nothing away from Hull KR, but again, a dive from acting halfback. Again, unable to defend a penalty. I thought the opening to that game last week, no matter how good Hull KR's angles of runs were, said everything about Leeds and their inability to defend their own line. And that's the worrying thing, I think. That if you can look for positives whenever, that was the first 10 or 15 minutes of that game said the deficiencies have not gone away. Now, I don't know how you solve that other than the fact that that game proved that for the rest of this season they're in a relegation dogfight. There's no doubt about that now. They're not going to suddenly find a run of form that is going to challenge the top 5, although bizarrely everybody above them lost last week, so not a lot has changed in terms of the table. But how do you change it? Is changing it making an adjustment to your coaching structure? We've seen that James Lowe's has gone with immediate effect. Richard Agar
Has he what, or has he been pushed?
I don't know James well enough, other than the fact that he wouldn't hang around if he thought there was going to be an issue. Either he's not being listened to, or he felt that at some point further along the line the writing might be on the wall. I think that's a blow for Kevin Sinfield, because when Sinfield came back into the club, he bought Lowe's back last year to be the head coach. He was a Sinfield man, and when David Furner came in, he was still part of the setup as the assistant coach. So I think that's a blow to Kevin Sinfield, that a guy he'd identified as being important to the structure is no longer there. To be fair, they'd also identified Richard Agar as in a very different role that was nothing to do with coaching when he was appointed. He is now part of the coaching team. Now, I don't know if that's going to make any difference. The Trent Merrin story refuses to go away in the same way that the Sean Edwards story won't go away at Wigan. That's very, very hard to come out definitively and say one way or another as a club what the truth is. Merrin has publicly stated he's here for the long haul. There are people back in Australia related to him, like Reagan Campbell-Gillard, who said he thinks he wants to come home. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but if he is going to leave at some stage, if negotiations are taking place to allow him to exit on compassionate grounds, whether it be immediately or at the end of the season, cutting short his contract.
Do we know who's passed away? He's gone home for a family bereavement.
Nor should we, because I think that would be private. He may not know. You know, we all necessarily wouldn't want our personal business out in the public domain. So, but the timing of it isn't great, because while there's a rumour that
there's
he
two
might
ways
be
to look
going
at
back.
It's actually perfect for Leeds. I can't imagine he was going to play against Working.
No.
So it's actually a good time for Leeds, fallen kindly for Leeds.
Yeah.
The problem Leeds have got is as soon as those two words are mentioned, homesickness, then Leeds are knackered. Because if he wants to go and he's homesick, then they've got to let him go. They can't stop him
100%.
going. They've got to let him go.
And
it's amazing how many of these lads that are homesick always have a deal to go back to when they go home, isn't it? But
and also, you
that's the
say
one thing.
how well Hurrell's been playing. Even he, by his own admission, is saying he needs to do more on defence. But Merrin's been almost as good.
the problem that Leeds
They
have
would
got, the
really
problem
miss.
Leeds
They
have
would
got with
really
Merrin
miss him if he was.
is their forward. Yeah, he is their forward pack.
Yeah.
Their forward pack is not aggressive enough.
No.
I want to ask the question, right? Leeds forwards look like they've all been on a diet and lost too much weight to me. They look too skinny. They don't look powerful enough.
You
They've got no
mentioned-
beef about them.
You mentioned last week about this change to eight interchanges and how some clubs have bred forwards that do longer minutes. Now, I wonder whether Leeds have taken that on board and slimmed down too much
Yeah,
because they want more minutes.
there's no
out of
beef
players.
about them. There's
But
no
it's
beef.
where they're losing is the contact.
Well, that's an important part of the game.
Yeah.
Every tackle.
The
is a
other thing I
contact.
would say is you've overjudged Wellington Albert on what? 20 minutes?
Yeah, look, I think that's a bit harsh.
That's
Gary,
incredibly
but,
harsh.
But that is a sign of
The-
where Leeds are.
Yeah,
Gary.
that's
That's
a
a sign of where they are.
Hey, listen, I'm not judging him as a Leeds player.
Well, you are. You're saying he's not good enough to play for
Listen,
Leeds.
this is what
That's judging him as a Leeds player.
hold on, I'll rephrase it. I'm not judging him on his Leeds 20 performance. I'm judging him what I've seen from the World Cup and onwards and what he did at Widnes. So I'm telling you, he's not good enough to play for Leeds.
But
And why are Leeds having tried this 10 games into the
because
season?
you've only got a very limited amount of cash in a salary cap sport. That's all you can go out
Well,
and
I thought we were supposed to have a quality academy like other teams having all this sort of thing. Promote within.
Some of them are in the team, but others you wouldn't put in
Right,
at the moment.
right, I'll ask
while
you
the
a question.
team is losing.
You're a Leeds
The
man
un-
for
the
Is
under-
Wellington Albert good enough for Leeds? Week in,
at
week
the
out.
moment, in terms of the size that he's got, is something that they have missing. But at the moment, it's a month's trial.
Can I ask you a question about Richard Agar?
Yes.
I think he's probably the most maligned man in rugby
yeah.
league for no apparent reason whatsoever. Now, granted, I understand why he was vilified at Wakefield because he came in as part of a regime who were useless, put it that way. And we were told, no, Richard Agar's not coming, said the chief executive at the time, who then proceeded to appoint Richard Agar as coach. There's one person who's a liar. Oh, by the way, we're not going to talk about other things. Stop moaning, we're talking about Leeds.
But half the people want to talk about
Bottom
Leeds
of the
in
league.
crisis.
Do you think if this was football, right,
And
and Man
Manchester
City
City-
were bottom of the table after
Exactly.
10 games, they wouldn't be talking about it. They'd be clamouring for Furner to get sacked. They'd be digging out on Merrin and find out who they're signing. The sport wants publicity, yet when people talk about the big stories, they don't
Let
like
me just
it.
go back to
We
the-
will talk about Warrington City. We are looking forward. I'm looking for somebody going. I can't wait for it. But I'm not going to talk about that for 2 hours either.
Richard Agar, whatever his job was at Warrington, Tony Smith was still in charge, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Even though he was called director of whatever.
Yeah.
James Lowe's, whatever his job was at the moment, David Furner and Kevin Sinfield have brought him out. He just puts
Yeah.
cones out on the pitch or hangs the ball down.
Yeah.
Scotty's been a coach, he's appointing assistants. They do what you tell them to do, don't you? So why is everyone getting upset about Richard Agar?
I don't know.
Also, as well, can I?
He
Can I?
was very highly rated by Tony Smith, who is one of the leading coaches of the modern era.
And
Can I,
people
can, I,
that
well,
probably
can I
look
sling
at-
this to you then? The way that Leeds are at the moment in time, bottom of the league, if Leeds hadn't won that game last week against Castleford, would Furner have been sacked this week after that performance? We took, yeah? And by the way, I'm not condoning. I don't want anybody being sacked.
There's
but
two
would Gary have
trains.
been
There's
sacked?
two trains of thought, right? Are the forwards big enough? What's happened to the forwards? Brad Singleton looks like he hasn't eaten for 3 months.
Do you,
Right, and also the defensive structure.
Yeah.
We and I were on about this.
That's what
the
I was gonna
defence
mention.
is awful. They scored barge over tries, 4 of them on Thursday night. Okay, they're not big enough on their own line. So what's happened to the defence? Because
Fur-
whatever Leeds were before, they always knew how to defend their own line.
Furner's changed the defensive structure. That's
So is
one
it
of the
his
things.
fault then?
Well, is it his fault, or is it that the players can't adapt to it? In which case, the one thing he needs to do is go back to something that they are more familiar with. Because clearly, what he wants them to... I mean, you've sat right in front of David Furner, and he
swears a lot.
I think at the moment is as surprised with what he's seen in a game scenario compared to, I think, how he's preparing his team during the week. Now, is it that the players that he's got at the moment can't implement what he wants them to implement? Does that mean that what he's trying to do is wrong, or does it mean that he's got to revert back to something that they are more familiar with?
Professional
Because it
rugby
clearly
league
isn't
players,
working.
Gary, tackling, defending is an attitude, isn't it?
Course.
If you want to defend, you'll defend.
Absolutely.
You want to make your tackle, you'll stop your
Absolutely.
man. If you want to be second man in and stop
Yeah.
the ball getting out, you'll stop the ball getting out. That's not happening.
But also as well, Phil, if you're suggesting that the players aren't happy with what Furner's
I
brought
didn't say
in,
they weren't happy.
Well,
that
well,
capable
they're not
might be
doing
a
it.
bit. Yeah, capable might be a better word.
well, Well, they're not happy with what they're doing, right? So then, what the players should be doing is quite clearly is going to Fern and say, listen, Dave, the senior players, they all have senior groups now. They all have about 12 co-captains, don't they, have leadership group. They should go to Fern and say, listen, Dave, we're not comfortable with this. We're not happy with this. As you just mentioned, we want to revert back to what we're comfortable and happy with and see how that goes, because at this moment in time, nothing's working.
But that's also part of the problem, that who is the leadership group?
Mark on Facebook is
Well,
saying
who's the captain?
it's about the play. It's about the players and not the coach. He says Albert is another cheap option. Ablett and JJB are more questionable retentions. Did Leeds, in building their squad for 2019, pay too much sentiment to those choices rather than actual what they needed?
I'd like Ablett to be out there at the moment. I think he's the kind of player that they're absolutely missing. Hasn't played yet this year.
And yet they got rid of someone potentially because of his injury record.
And so,
Who's that?
Garber.
Garber. Yeah.
But they didn't know he was going to re-injure an
Well,
ankle. So, but
I think everything
you were just talking about
everything's
leadership
2020,
groups.
yeah.
I think he needs to be part of that.
Well,
leadership
here's my
group, but he hasn't
question,
been
right?
out
And I
there.
mentioned this before, right? You just mentioned about recruitment and retention. Garber walks into that Leeds. He walks in. He'd be the best player in that Leeds team in
The way
terms
he's
of the
playing at the
forward.
moment,
No,
absolutely.
well, that's the player he is. We've seen that.
But
We've
he
seen
wasn't
that for
last
Leeds.
year. Played 7 games last year.
Right. Okay.
So somebody made a decision about.
Well, Callum Watkins
Bringing
only
in
played
Trent-
7 games. Rather than
bringing
kept
in
him,
about
might have
Trent
binned him
Merritt,
off because
because-
he don't look the player he was.
No, well,
he
I
looks
think
far from it.
that is a different issue about recovery from injury and whether he has or not.
I'm concerned about Callum Watkins. I mean, sincerely, I'm.
They need to take the captaincy off him, take the pressure off him.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not
Just say,
sure
play
that's
rugby, son.
Just
Do
let him
what you
go
can
out there
do.
and- just
Play
go out there and
rugby.
enjoy
Don't
some
worry
minutes.
about what's happening.
Yeah,
You play rugby.
correct.
But I do worry
Yeah.
about him. Jimmy Kainos not retained would get in. All right, you say Hurrell's in the centres and Hurrell's magnificent.
Yeah, but Kainos will
But
play
the
the
way
back
they're
row.
playing him, he'll be knackered soon. Because every team, and I know this because what the 2 Super League coaches, and all they've said is Leeds' game plan is give it to Hurrell. So you stop Hurrell and you stop Leeds, and that's what's happened.
You
He
talk-
scored 4 tries the other night and they still got beat.
You talk
You know
about
what I mean?
you talk about him being knackered. Dave says the same thing. Jack Walker can't be getting battered every week. Lad's body won't take much more. You know, I know he kicked out on the full a couple of times, but that's in a team that's absolutely beaten. And
I
he's
like
part of that
Walker.
team.
I think
Yeah.
he had a
Oh.
shocking in him with a kick in. I like him. I think he needs to improve his attacking game. That'll come. He is one that does put his body on the line.
And
you
as
can't
Gary's saying,
criticise
have they
him.
got kids in the academy? Well, he's one of them that's come through
Yeah,
that system.
I just
So,
look at the recruitment there. Leeds is to blame. Who's to
But-
blame? Is it Hetherington? Is it Sinfield?
If you were to say the team that is on paper that started the game against Hull KR, irrespective of the holes in the recruitment, where would you expect that team to be at the moment? Bottom of the league?
In the bottom 4 where it was last year. And it's actually
I don't-
when you look at recruitment, they've got a worse team this year than they have last year. Joel Moon would walk into that team right now. Joel Moon would get in. Kainos would get in.
I don't think kind of should.
Wow.
Here's Jill.
Why wouldn't he get in? He'd play in the back row. At least he makes some tackles.
Jill says, "How come if you guys and the fans can see what is happening, why can't the powers that be?"
They can. If it was a simple solution, they would find it.
The solution is not signing players of quality of Wellington.
I'll ask you a
Albert.
question, right? I'll ask you a question.
Some
Danny
players-
Maguire 2 years ago, right? And we've had our opinion on this, Rich, and we were lucky enough to speak to Danny, give us an interview when he quit or when he left. He clearly wanted to stay. Right, let's call a spade a spade. He wanted to stay. The club, in his, well, I won't use his words because I can't swear, he made a derisory offer and it was made clear they were happy for him to go. Now, he wasn't great, Danny Maguire. He was great in the final. He didn't have his best season, but he showed on Thursday night.
Absolutely.
He's better. If Leeds would have let him go to sign Blake Austin, then you go, fair play. They'd signed him with a guy that's not as good as him. I don't think. I think Danny Maguire is still better than Richie Myler today.
I think Richie Myler enhanced his reputation by not playing on Thursday.
Well, what does that
But
tell
as
you?
we keep saying, Richie Myler is not in the position, or he's not the player they need him to be. But that's
No.
not Richie Myler's fault.
No, it's not. It isn't.
Which
It
people
isn't.
keep missing out.
But when
on
you
the
get
point.
rid of a club legend to bring someone in to replace him, the person that comes in needs to be significantly better than the club legend you got rid of. I just think the
If that
recruitment has
talent
been
is
awful, and that is why the bottom of the table, Phil. They're rubbish.
No,
They are
I
rubbish.
think the recruitment that they made this year with 2 marquee signings and the core of that team that should be playing better than it is are not a bottom of the table team. I think that's about attitude and not ability.
Sandy's asked, what is the difference in coaching style between McDermott and Ferner?
Well, we're not lucky enough to be there, are we? So we can't really
What
tell.
I would say to give an insight into Brian McDermott, I don't know David Furner well enough. As a player, I knew all the qualities that he brought. I think we all did. We saw him towards the end of his career over here and saw what he did in Australia. And there are people that you come across that are called the ultimate professional, and everybody that played with him said that's what he was. He brought that to the dressing room. I don't know him as a coach, but certainly if he had those qualities as a coach that he did as a player, then he's an honourable man. Brian McDermott is very unusual. Mentality, which again we would support all of the work that they do. Do a series of podcasts. The next one that's coming out is a long, in-depth interview between Stevie Ward and Brian McDermott. Brian McDermott talks about the influences of his past and what has made him the bloke that he is. There's a couple of extracts of it in the new Forty20 that's out this week. I would absolutely advise anybody to listen to the whole podcast or maybe catch those couple of things. It's about his past and it's about his philosophy as a coach. Now, I would say that would wind some people up. That his idea was not to get on with people; it was to get the best out of them. And a lot of his methods are to sieve people out.
Oh, you see that in a press conference.
And when you read that, and when you hear some of the stuff you won't know about his past, you can see why people who didn't even necessarily get on with him ran through brick walls for him. Now, I don't know whether that's there at the moment at Leeds, but certainly that's what they'll get at Toronto.
What is good news for Leeds, though, of course, is that every other Leeds team won this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, the
just to please everyone else.
Under 19s won, women won, wheelchair won. So men are in crisis.
Leeds men in crisis. T-shirts available. We'll get you a sticker that says men on it. We'll send you one that says not as well for when they win a few games.
No doubt we'll talk about the women's game.
We will.
But Rich and I were lucky enough to be at the Wheatwood Sports Centre yesterday.
Can we talk about it a bit later?
I was just going to say it's a very, very different audience that watches that, and it's absolutely heartening. So
it is.
Aside from what's happened on the field and the standard of play, off the field, it's a model.
Okay, great win for Hull KR. Look, let's not brush over that.
Do you want to go see Hull KR, Mark?
Well, go on, I do.
Do you want to go see
I
Hull?
want to go see them beat Hull.
Well, they are playing in the derby in, when is it, 2 weeks?
Week on Friday.
Week on Friday. We've got a pair of tickets to give away, you lucky people. They've sent me a question, which is great because I don't have to write one. We don't have one of Scully's daft questions. What's the name of his left toenail? Which Hull FC player scored a controversial winning try in the 2013 Magic Weekend derby fixture against Hull Kingston Rovers? Is it A. Chris Green, B. Josh Bowden, or C. Dean Hadley? Tickets are available online at ticketing.hullfc.com, as well as from the KCOM Stadium Ticket Zone, or over the phone by calling 01482 505 600. Tickets start just £18 for adults and £5 for juniors. And tickets for away supporters can be purchased at shop.hullkr.co.uk, as well as the Hull KR retail store. It's almost like he used to do this for a job.
Yeah.
He's not getting paid anymore. So the question is, which Hull FC player scored a controversial winning try in the 2013 Magic Weekend derby fixture against Hull Kingston Rovers? A. Chris Green, B. Just Bowden, C. Dean Hadley. Email your answers because it's easier that way, so don't get lost. tv.4020@gmail.com, and we'll put it out on the podcast and put it out on Twitter as well.
You're going to put that on the bottom?
Yes.
So you should have done that, shouldn't you?
Yeah, well,
Right, so I guess just to finish on Leeds now then, because again, a question what everybody's asking me, certainly from a Leeds fan's point of view, is who Leeds going to beat next?
Well, you can't say that, because we said this 2 weeks ago. No one's not beating Castleford.
Nobody saw Castleford beating St Helens.
No, hold on. I've got a question on point, because Phil always says it's season in, season out. You can tell who's going to finish, or have an idea where teams are going to finish after Easter. We have got Huddersfield at home and Wakefield away. If we're, at the moment, we're 2 points away from London, so if we're 4 points away from London and 8 points away from everybody else, what does that tell us, Phil?
It tells us that Easter's a defining period.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I think the results are starting to show you can't confidently predict who's going to win every week.
Well, you ask the Leeds fans then. You ask the Leeds fans.
Well, that's fine, but they don't determine when Leeds win, do they?
No.
You can ask them, but it doesn't mean they're going to win all.
We confidently predicted the results this week in good faith of how the teams had played the week before, and the only one we were really certain of was that Warrington would beat London. Everything else we probably got wrong.
Not quite.
Just about.
Not quite.
In the predictions on here.
So what's that got to do with Leeds' performance, Phil?
Because all I'm saying, it's very hard to draw a form.
Right, okay. Hull KR needed to win, lads. They got a win. That is a massive win for them. Interesting how Tim Sheen's been linked with a return to the NRL.
Is he?
General manager of Cronulla.
Yeah,
Oh, is he?
Cronulla,
Right, fair
so
play, yeah.
he's out of contract end of the season.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I spoke to Tim after the game because I was there myself, you know, as a guest of one of the sponsors there at Hull Kingston. I just want to say thanks.
Free hospitality.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Steve Saddington, SJ Sloan, looked after myself and my boss. So, yeah, thanks, Steve. But, yeah, Tim Sheens, Mark, as I said earlier, before the game started, he would be cherry-picking certain fixtures, and the Leeds game last Thursday night was one of them games he cherry-picked where if they played anywhere near, if he had nearly the strongest side what he had out there, then quite simply they were going to get the 2 points.
Tactics was superb.
And the first 20 minutes the blue Leeds apart. But again, I tell you what, before he went off injured, I tell you what, Araki, I've not seen him play that well for what, 3 or 4 seasons. He was absolutely outstanding.
Craig Hall,
he was all over the place. Hawley was magnificent. You mentioned Maguire and Gard from there, but I thought Araki was brilliant. But Ulkia, they said that one of them, it was a box where, yes, this is a fixture we can win. They just didn't win it. They embarrassed Leeds at times, and well done to Ulkia, well done to Tim Sheens.
The angle of running on the inside was absolutely superb.
So well done, Hull KR. Let us know what you think on Twitter at Forty20
They
Live.
all think we're rubbish. We can't predict Toffee or whatever.
No,
But in a way,
we'll start going through all their predictions
isn't that
and
what
start
we want?
hammering them on here.
Isn't that what we want?
Yeah, of course it is.
That's what Robert Ellison would tell me.
We want
If I-
uncertainty of outcome. When we got it, no one likes it
Yeah.
because no one knows who's going to win every week. Yeah, so keep your
Right, the rest
tweets coming in. What about Facebook? What's happening on social?
Oh, did you see? What did you see? You have seen it because you saw me post it. The big Wakefield Trinity flag at WrestleMania.
Yes,
This
yeah.
is brilliant. At half awake last night, looking up at telly. Whoa! Big Wakefield flag. The wrong way around.
Yeah. See, they've been seen by millions of viewers.
Yeah,
and it's the wrong
Wakefield
way
Trinity.
around. Yeah.
We're famous.
Well done, lads.
Famous. Well done, Wakefield.
Who were they supporting?
Well, they seem to excited that the Australian women won the tag team title. So wait for the.
Oh,
finish
so
of
you
that
were up
contract.
late watching Australian women tag team wrestling?
Yeah,
Is that what
it
you're
was
saying?
a 8-woman, 14 tag team match.
To say we're half asleep, he knows a lot about it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Bit of an expert.
What's it?
Yeah, a bit of an expert, yeah.
Daniel
yeah.
Vido was there in the crowd.
Alright, cool. What's happening on social media?
Lots of stuff. People saying how bad we are at Twitter, at predictions. Mary being one of them. You were rubbish with the Pies and Tigers game, all of you. Yes, well, we'll give him for the second half of it. Stuart says Rovers badly needed a look back. We had missed him and he's back. Daniel says 11,700 fans at the Wire game. Next no way fans. Well done, Warrington.
Yeah, well done,
It's
Warrington.
like they saw an opportunity to sell a game and get people in cheap.
Yeah.
And
Kids, not just people, but the next generation of fans.
It's like, why don't more clubs do this? Because we need to talk about some of the crowds at the weekend because some of them were very poor. Our friend Stephen, he's, tell Gary Leeds are relegation fodder. Trinity to beat Wigan on Friday. The thing is, if Leeds were relegated, I'd keep them up. He thought I was really super, but I'm not in charge.
That may well happen, Rich.
Yeah.
Said the Wakefield fan.
What, running Super League?
Tell you what, fellas.
Oh, well, we haven't talked about the vacancy of the chairman.
Oh, yes.
Team-man.
Yeah, well, we mentioned it last week, didn't we?
No.
No, we didn't.
What
It
did we?
happened during the week.
But
Oh,
anyway,
did it? Hold on, no, we need to discuss
I was going to bring
We need
back
to discuss
armbands.
this.
is he
He's not dead,
Is he
obviously.
Is he really worth talking about?
Give me a minute's applause before I
Well, everybody knows he's brought nothing to the game. Everybody knows he's been absolutely pathetic. Oh, I've read it, Phil.
He's
Phil,
given an interview.
Phil, I've read it, Phil. Phil, I've read
He
it.
deliberately...
Phil, I've read it. Phil, I don't think we should talk about it. He's brought.
No regrets.
He's been-
that book.
He has no regrets.
Is that not?
He had his
I was gonna say-
grand for 2 days a week. No regret. He's got one, then they've got rid of him.
When they haven't got rid of him, he's president of the World Cup.
President of the World Cup.
Oh, bloody hell.
Most of the page is taken up with his picture.
So I don't think it's even worth speaking about because
Oh,
quite
We
clearly,
need a new team man, though, don't we?
well, to say the truth, quite clearly, he brought nothing to the game and he was pathetic. There we go. Let's move on from him.
Well, that 2 F's off.
But he,
Rich.
Let's move on.
but
How
he
angry are you?
does say he'll give us the full picture in
his memoirs.
memoir. Can't wait.
I thought I bought that from the pound shop. He was on the desk the other week.
Eh?
So I've got.
Just
Well, what's he going to say in his memoirs? That my black book failed because that's what he said, and that's
I mean, again, he's going and
it's not worth talking about.
typical rugby league. We've given him a sinecure position, even though he's gone. The press release that came out from the RFL, do you think that over-egged the pudding about the
Yes.
influence that he had?
Yes.
Is that not treating those within the game?
It's our understanding,
content?
right, that the Super League clubs couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Well,
Right, and the
have
RFL
you-
apparently were quite happy for him to
Have you
go.
read what Andrew
so
Chalmers
why?
has said about?
Well, no, but you can come to that in a minute. But why not? Why do we have to give this glow? Oh, yeah, what did I say? Brian Barwick is today, like, thank God that we wish
Not
Brian
thank
well.
God, but,
All
yeah,
right,
good luck in-
all right,
good
all right.
luck in his-
Maybe that's why I didn't get the job. Good luck in his future endeavours. We'd like to thank him for all his efforts and good luck in his future endeavours. Why
Well,
do we need a glowing
Yeah.
report?
Thank
You
you
can
for his
imagine-
efforts. What efforts?
Well, well.
Driving from Manchester to Redall or whatever now. What efforts? What has he done?
Are we ready? This is
What has he
Hold
done?
on, come on,
professional irritant. Sorry, Bradford Bulls chairman
Ooh.
Andrew Chalmers.
Did you read that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna put it.
Ban from
I am deciding whether I want to go to the summer bash or not these days. I don't really want to speak to anyone after any games. Anyway, Andrew Chalmers, writing in his regular column in the Telegraph and Argus, said that must have been a tough conclusion for him to reach, and I applaud him for it. I mean, in fairness, if I was on an 80 grand a year job just to hand out medals to some people, I wouldn't quit. I'd be forced.
Hold on. He went to a vote, so he's going to lose it anyway. So
Yes, I'll wait till the vote. Get as much money as I can. I'm getting no money out of Rugby League at the minute. In fact, I would so far as to say, says Chalmers, it is the best decision he has taken in my time in the country. We let you into the bloody sport, Andrew. Let me be explicit. I have no actually ground with Brian Barwick. Not at all, however. That's my however.
However, here is my answer.
No doubt his long history in sport would provide many entertaining anecdotes to light up the right occasion. I can, however, only go on my own experience as to what has happened to the RFL over the past 12 months and how their circumstances have changed since I decided to invest in the sport in this country. I've sat in meetings where he has sat impassively while the organisation has been gratuitously savaged by some chairman without a murmur, and yet then he has attempted to scold championship clubs saying they weren't working hard enough. This is a bizarre thing, isn't it, for Andrew Chalmers? And lots of people associated with the Bradford Bulls who seem to hate the Rugby Football League and hate Super League at the same time. Make your minds up, or just set up your own bloody competition like you did with the Yorkshire Cup. What do they want to play in?
Right, fair.
They don't like either, do they?
I
I do wonder why they are attacking the RFL.
I thought Brian Barwick had already given up the chairmanship of Super League when they had that restructure and set up their own board. But apparently when he has relinquished his position, which doesn't go till July, and he's not relinquished.
Got another 3 months. Yeah.
What's 80 grand
Divide 80 by
by
3.
I hope he's handed in his expenses card.
Well,
That's going to be getting
And,
on,
and
isn't
he's
it?
not resigned. He's just said he's not going to seek re-election. So,
So they haven't been
How do we
kicked
get
out.
on the ballot paper? Not that.
That's
Not
not
that.
going to happen.
but I thought that he wasn't part of Super League until it was announced that he was relinquishing the chairmanship of Super League.
But as we've said on this programme
What
for a
do we
number of
believe?
years, what did Nigel do and what did Brian do?
And
Both
medals.
have gone and there's been no change. There's been no
Well,
change.
the only change there's been is that we now have a fractured administration.
And 80
Yes.
grand more in the bank. Does Brian Barwick have a box at Bradford as well, or is that just Norwich?
I don't know, ask him.
Well,
Funny what I'm
from July. But of course, we have a vacancy now in July for the person that brings the tea at 7 o'clock.
We have,
'Cause
yes.
that-
Applications are open.
Yeah.
If you would like the job, let us know at
Purely,
4020 live.
like the job as the head of the World Cup presidential committee. It's
Although we
purely-
have had an
purely
application from
voluntarily,
someone, and I think that could be a bribe.
Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
The
It's
nicest
very, very nice.
Fair enough.
Like the
No, listen, it can't be a bribe because it's got to be worth over 50 quid, and they're not worth over 50 quid either, so it's not a bribe.
How's the story on that? Anyway, Eastmore Dragons juniors have tweeted us.
Oh, yeah?
Any chance for a plug for our juniors tour to France next year, please, guys? We're looking for sponsors, donations, memorabilia, etc. There's loads of memorabilia over there, just don't belong to us. Any help would be appreciated. We hope to take 80 kids to play in a festival. I'm sure that ball over there. We'll send you a ball.
We'll send you
Get in
something.
touch with us,
We
Eastmore
will.
Dragons.
Got a Leeds in Crisis t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'll give you one of them.
What in Eastmore? It's bonfire.
Oh,
I'll tell you what.
You
It's
can use
bonfire
it to
night
light the
soon.
bonfire.
Bonfire night soon.
Right, come on, what else is happening on social media? I feel we're being
Can I
very...
also say that Shawcross Sharks Junior Club celebrating the 50th anniversary at Easter of an exchange with Villeneuve Leopards. Villeneuve are coming over here this year. I think there's certainly a game on the Thursday before Easter, Thursday night down at Shawcross. Go and watch.
I've got
and support.
I've got a feeling I played in fact I know I played at Shawcross for Birkenshaw, and I think it might have been against Villeneuve, against the French team,
it will
and we got booed off. We won, and we got booed off because there was a lot of fighting in the game, and we were deemed to be the instigators. We were the home team, and we got booed off. How bad's that?
That's like Edinburgh.
How bad is that?
People want these T-shirts, Mark.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
Right. Well, we have got some.
Yeah.
We might sell some. They're not any expense.
Yeah.
You know, we'll cover our costs.
Not like 400 quid or something.
No.
Cameron says Rugby League in the UK is desperate for good leadership. Should be looking around the world who have a proven track record of growing the sport from top to bottom. Someone may be involved in MLS growth, AFL in Australia, Rugby Union in France, question mark. The last time we had an outsider, everyone moaned. So we got an insider and everyone moaned. Basically, whoever gets the job.
We'll board.
It's not about the person, it's about the power.
Yeah.
We now
Who
need an
has the
executive chairman who actually has some say in the direction of the sport and not is accountable to 12 different bosses or 35 different bosses or...
Phil, you know that's not going to change. It's never going to
The
change.
only thing that will make a difference
What's
is
not
when
gonna
that
change?
changes.
Not we.
Right, we're moving on. If you want to get in touch, you can do so. Usual methods apply. You mentioned we had an infamous spat with David Fixture, what, about 18 months ago?
Yeah.
When you said
I think you were against the wall, if I remember
When
right.
you said to Fifita, consistency. So now I'm going to say, Big Dave is at the moment producing a level of consistency that means he's one of the best forwards in Super League.
He's the best player in the competition with Blake Austin. He's level in the Albert Golf.
Well, there you
Memorial
go.
thing.
So, are you getting the consistency you wanted, and how well is he playing at the minute?
By the way, it wasn't a spat with David Fixture. Can you remember when they got beat? Leeds beat Wigan and Chris Chester said yes.
Yeah.
Correct. And all I said was my opinion after the game. Yes. Wakefield players are not soft, but it was a soft performance. So then obviously he jumped on the bandwagon. Move 18 months on. You talk about that consistency. And one thing what the interchange system has done for Fafita, he's loving being out there for the for what? He's out there for what, 60?
An hour now, yeah.
60, 65 minutes. His consistency is brilliant. But also now, I think what Fafita has done is enjoying this responsibility, is growing up as a person, growing up as a player without any responsibility from there. He's leading by example. And another good thing, which I've said many, many times, and I keep repeating myself with it again and again and again, he's going to train with a smile on his face, he's playing with a smile on his face, and the players are reacting to him. So yeah, consistency for Fafita. Is he the best forward in the competition? Tell you what.
2 tries for him on Friday.
I'll tell you what,
tries.
you can't debate that. You might say, look, Thompson and Alex Walmsley, but one thing for sure, he's been the leader, what Wakefield have been looking for, and he's setting the example.
2 things. Hats off to the conditioning staff at Wakefield, because it's not
Clogger, yeah, Martin Clausen.
It's not just his attitude that's changed. You can't do 60 minutes if you haven't got the physical endurance to do so.
fair point.
And
Not how he plays,
and he
anyway.
clearly
Not how
didn't
he
last
plays.
year. You know, the other thing is, his contract's up for renewal, and every time he plays like this, he's adding a 0 to his contract. He's hungry. You can tell it. His value is, I would say, incrementally, probably double what it was at the start of this season. But he's producing weekend. The tries that he scored against Huddersfield were outstanding.
They were. You were
Absolutely
there.
outstanding.
What did you make?
Well,
what did you
I
make
did
of it?
upset someone by saying in the press room after the game that he's playing well when his contract's coming up. He's like the new Michael Korkidis. But,
Bloody hell.
but
That is damning.
What? He can,
That is
he
damning.
can captain Greece.
That is awful.
no, because Dave's good for a start.
Right.
I tell you what, it was an awful game. Oh, it was dreadful.
Why you've won? These are the
exactly.
games. Why did you get Danny Brough to
Oh.
win tight games?
You think, 17-16, oof. Because I sent a tweet out saying, if I was a radio station, I wouldn't have gone to this game tonight. I would have gone to the other one. And I was proven right. Because even though it was a 1-point game, it was dreadful. Big Dave, he scores tries, he eats pies, or whatever his hashtag is. And there he was. Nice one from, was it 30, 40 metres out? You know, a draw was probably, as both coaches said afterwards, a fair result, but...
Can't have a draw.
No, well, apparently you can. Martin Sadler said in the paper today, if it's a draw after goal.
Yeah, 5 minutes each way, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can't have a draw. So yeah, it's exciting. Danny Brough, he does what you said he can do. He can win games, he can lose games, and there's a game he's won against the club who let him go and have certainly been weakened by him going. And it's an important win as well because Huddersfield have picked up some form. And they did look good within the game. Wakefield obviously still have problems on that left-hand side. And you can't blame Max Jarrett because he's not a winger. but he's trying to learn his craft. As
They are
Chester
trying
said,
to get a
while
winger
he's-
in, I understand.
Yeah, he's
they are
learning
trying to get
his
someone
craft while he's playing out there.
Big blow for Wakefield that Bill Tuke, who has now been
Well,
injured and
yes.
out for
They
3
tried
months.
to cite that challenge as well by Dudson, and he got
Yeah,
turned down.
Paul Cullen said there's
out for 3
Chris
months.
Jefferson
Is it his
Paul
groin or
Cullen,
something?
hasn't
His
he?
groin or something?
Chester said in the pre-match that I think that's 300 metres they've got to find from somewhere within Johnston. So
Yeah. Just a quick one. They lost narrowly to Hull KR. They lost narrowly to St Helens, and they lost narrowly to Warrington. They could quite easily be top of the table. How would you? They're fourth in the table. Are you happy with what you've seen? There's a more to come, or how would you assess it?
because I think the league's going to be very tight. I think the most concerning of those games was the defeat against Hull KR. Because on paper you would have lost.
That was the weather, though.
It was, yeah.
Hull KR
The
played
most
the weather.
concerning was the defeat to London in week 1.
Yeah,
Well,
it was.
Because that again, with the greatest respect to London and the way they played, that was going to be a cup final, their reintroduction to Super League, and I'm not sure Wakefield treated it that way
Maybe
No.
keeps a few people at the
because
backside.
they were 12 points up on 2 occasions and
The
couldn't hold on.
Andy's made an interesting point. This is the interesting thing with David Fafita. Was he 29, 30? So it's going to be a big contract.
His last big contract, likely.
It's Chris Chester mentioned in the press conference before the game, and I only picked up on this at the weekend, that Wakefield had gone over budget, under cap, but over their budget by signing Danny Brough because they signed him late. So if you sign David Fafita, obviously on more than he's on now, that's
Someone's got to go the other
Yeah.
way. But they have got quite a big. They have got a lot of players on big money off contract at the end of the season. So I think they've got a bit of wiggle room.
And
at Wakefield.
hopefully by the start of next season, they've got the stadium beginning to come on stream, which should up their ability to spend more of the salary cap.
Possibly. How would you assess the start of the year, Wakey? Are they happy where they are, fourth at the minute?
Oh yeah, there's no two ways about it. You know, I say we're signing Bruffy. The situation was, they've got Bruffy to make sure they're finishing the 5. In 4th place, you mentioned them games what they lost earlier. Yeah, the attitude against London. You know, London were brilliant against Wakefield, but it was all about the attitude for Wakefield players, and that's why they got turned over. But overall, again, yeah, Chesney will be happy, Michael will be happy, the players are happy. After 9 games in 4th position. Yeah, if anybody would have told him before the start of the season, then he said, yeah, we'll take this.
I think the really important thing this week is St Helens losing for the competition, because Warrington play St Helens in a massive game this week, and then we're into the Easter period, but the teams just below them now, that gap isn't as great.
No.
So you look at a team like Wakefield saying, well, we managed to maintain what we're doing. If they, let's say, beat Castleford over Easter, they're not going to be far off those top 2 teams.
They're not. They're not at all. I agree with
So
that. The one worry I have about Wakey is where are the bloody fans?
well, and it's a concern.
4,730 there on Friday.
It's
For a
because
local derby.
because they saw the hashtag Cowbell Army and thought, sod this.
But
again.
also, again, we've said it before, until we're blue in the face, you're the advocate of it.
Well-
when there is a game on our television broadcaster,
Yeah.
which is down the road from Wakefield,
Yeah.
the problem was this week though, because Huddersfield were playing Thursday.
yeah.
So, but yeah, what's it? 4,700 was the crowd. Poor, isn't it? It's poor way for the playing the best they've done in 25, 30 years or whatever, and people aren't coming out to watch them. Why is that? But
Can I ask
that's
a question
of
as well?
sport
Again,
a whole.
I've got NFL. The NFL play on Sunday, and they often play, 2 of them the week after play on a Thursday, and that's travelling across America. That's not going from Wakey to Cass or Huddersfield or Wakefield. I know you don't want the athletes doing it, I know the impact of the game, but if you wanted to do it 2 or 3 times a season, I think you could do that, and I think the benefits will be far better for the game. We're trying to get TV figures up, then don't put games on when there are other games on it. It's quite simple.
Part of the problem as well is the hypocrisy surrounding Easter. Everybody still wants 2 games in 3 or 4 days, which is effectively 3 games in 6 or 7
Yeah.
or 8 days.
Yeah.
Where does player welfare sit with that when we're saying that there has to be a 5-day gap between, say a Saturday and
Yeah,
a
but
Thursday?
you can do it when it suits.
But
Yeah.
we also have
Yeah.
to-
So there has to be a consistent line on that.
I completely agree.
Maybe Wakefield Huddersfield at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon to allow Castleford to breathe on the Sunday, Wakefield and Huddersfield play on the Saturday. That's still 5 days effectively to when Huddersfield have to play on the Thursday. You are, as long as you only do it maybe once each club, At the moment, we're asking teams to go to Catalan on a Saturday and turn around and play on the Thursday.
Yeah, yeah. It's
it's
something that needs sorting out, and it's something that's so easy to do. It's not just sort it out and get the fixtures on so that the TV game gets priority and everyone's watching it and everyone's talking about one game.
That is debated and discussed. Brian Noble mentions it again in the issue of Forty20.
When's it out, Phil?
It's out on Friday.
Oh, lovely.
That if there's 29 games, and if the injuries that we're having at the moment are commensurate with the injuries that we've had in previous seasons, and that is a tendency that looks like it's going up, and if we want more young players to be involved at a higher level in the sport, he says that every Super League club needs a squad of 30 players, not the 25 they've got at the moment with 5 of their youngsters who are being paid a pittance a week, but a squad of 30 full-time professionals. If you're playing 29 games and if you're going to have these kind of turnarounds. Now, to do that, you either need to scrap or raise the salary cap or bring more money into the sport. We don't seem to be doing either.
Well, again, I'll say what I said. I think I said it last week. There is going to be a couple of announcements in the next few weeks that is going to mean that the clubs are going to get a little bit more,
as long as
quite a bit more money.
Raise the salary cap on the back of that.
Well, yeah, I get that. But here's a thought for you, right? Season's too long, play too many games. Why don't we introduce bye weeks, like they do in the NRL? And then you could have teams playing on a Wednesday when there's no TV. So you can say, right, play 1 week Friday, then you play the Wednesday, and then you get the week after off or whatever.
And
you get more games on TV when there's going to be more people. There's no football this summer. There's no football.
No,
we should be on Monday to Friday, having games on every day.
No, but people will moan because they have to travel to a game and it's a school night and this and that.
Well, the other thing that Brian Noble says is that we need to have an injury reserve, like they do in the NFL. That if you had, so in Wakefield have now got 2 of their absolute strike players out for either all or a proportion of the season. Now we as fans pay to go and watch the best. If Wakefield are scrabbling around to find who they can get on very little money, or Leeds are signing a Wellington outlook because that's all they can afford at the moment, the people who are really being shortchanged are the fans, because they've lost Tom Johnson and Bill Tupu, and they might not get somebody as good. Yeah. So Wakefield should be allowed to use the money that they've got to sign.
I get that. But the point is, right, is that they've still got to pay Tom Johnson's wages.
Yeah, no, the onus is on them to create enough revenue to go.
My point though then is, in the NFL, you can just go, oh, we're cutting you. We'll get rid of you.
But they have something
they
called
can't
an
do
injured reserve. They've got
no,
to be
of
injured.
course they do, yeah. And they can sign off and sign someone else, but they can cut people like that. You can't do that in Rugby League.
What we've done though is we've allowed dispensation for players that have been injured before the start of the season, like Luke Gale and Kevin Brown.
Is that not the first step to it though?
But we haven't got dispensation for people that are long-term injured during the season.
Before I forget, because on Scully's board now, because we've not played him for a while, a couple of things. Neil says, 30 years of mismanagement at Wakefield, it's easier to lose fans than it is to win them back. That is very true.
Fair point, Neil, fair point. But I think, come on, surely now, everyone knows the club is in good hands. It's running like
the
it
the style of rugby they're playing is worth spending the 20 quid.
But the problem with Rugby League is we just expect people to turn up.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. On Friday again, Huddersfield fans on Twitter moaning about Bellevue. Just remember why you've got your own ground. It's not because of your own team. And 3...
Well, they don't even own the ground.
Well, so there you go then.
They get told when they can play. Yeah?
Yeah. Get back in your box. 3... We moan about clubs playing at the same time as Sky are showing games. The Rugby Football League are broadcasting games at the same time as their own clubs are playing games on a Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolute madness.
Media policy.
It needs looking at. It's not all this backslapping. Oh, I'll leave this, I'll leave that.
Well,
it's good. It's good, but you're limiting the amount of people that can watch it. Therefore, it's not good.
We spoke about this.
We're going to get onto it later in more detail. But when I looked at the numbers this afternoon, 16,000 people who watched yesterday's Leeds versus Wakefield Women's Super League game, which as a contest was over from the first whistle.
Yeah.
16,000 views on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right?
So 16,000 people now on Facebook know that Leeds and Wakefield.
But at the same time they were watching that, they weren't watching Wigan and St Helens, and that's what we were saying, that one should have kicked off at 1 o'clock and everything else at 3 o'clock.
We did tell the RFL this 2 years ago, Phil. Never mind. Right, Scully's getting bored.
Yeah, I know.
So talk about some rugby.
Oh, the Man of Steel votes are out in. Well, they're out.
Did you do it again?
Are you again this week, Ledge?
They're Bowden until 7, so I can't bring them until 7
o'clock. My next game is the derby next Friday.
Is it?
There you go.
Which you going to watch it on the telly?
Yeah. We've got. You've got to go.
So you're not entering for these free tickets that we give.
You don't want any free tickets.
No, you've got to go to the game. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
What was the
How
crowd?
how can you be the judge of that game? When half the crowd want to
ex-Hull
kill
player,
you,
yeah.
the other half also want to kill you, so they all want to kill
hey,
you.
listen, no, I get
Oh,
the Hulky
no, the Rovers, I'll tell you what.
hey, listen, the Hulky fans give me more respect than what the Hull fans do. Honestly,
It's a good job you're on
they even
Facebook,
play for them.
those Hull FC fans, they had some very choice words for you, ones that we certainly can't broadcast on this channel.
Because I won yesterday.
No, not before, because you tipped Salford to win. Because people just can't take the fact that you might tip one of two possible results. People are idiots.
Hold on.
Because form going into that, Hull
Yeah,
haven't lost by 60 points at home. That hasn't
Exactly.
happened.
You know, were these Hull fans saying anything when Wallington absolutely smacked their backside and they should have got between 18 and 19
Radford
points?
out last week. But Radford
Hey, do me a favour.
Radford's back.
Radford's back in,
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
Gareth
Hull.
Ellis.
23-16 winners at Salford. Josh Griffin hat-trick wrapped up the points. I said last week, let's see how they bounce back. And they bounced back, they won. That's what you can say. But Salford are on a bit of a worrying run of results now, aren't they? They lost to Wakefield, they lost to Wigan, and they've lost again this week. And they're starting to slide down the table. They've played 10 games. All right, they're only outside the top 5 by 2 points, and they've got a positive points difference. That's all good. But they're just starting to get found out a little bit now, aren't they?
They are, mate. And also as well, Ian Watts is saying, well, you know, he's looking to drop people. Well, how can he drop people when he ain't got anybody to come in who's a quality of replacer players? It's the same at Leeds. Leeds can't drop anybody because there's nobody to replace these players who are good enough, you know. So he can't drop anybody, you know. But again, it's just a matter of the consistency. But I was just going to say to you, the players have been found out, you know, and to do it at the highest level week in and week out, they seem to be struggling. And but as I said earlier, in the show, I just feel as though Salford, the players, you know, because I like Watson as a coach. You know, he seems to get the best out of his players. He's handled a lot of adversity off the field, as we well know. He plays the game in the right way, but are they believing their own publicity, what people are saying about him? And when you do look at the way when they do get defeated, they get defeated heavily, and at times it looks as though, you know, the team spirit may not be there. But the big problem for Salford, and as I say, the consistency. Are they make the 5? I don't think they will. But Lee Radford wanted a reaction from Hull, got a reaction from his players. But the big factor is, again, how important is he? Gareth Ellis, not just on the field, but around the dressing room, around the training paddock. When Gareth Ellis seems to be playing, Hull seem to win. So is it the Gareth Ellis factor around the black and whites?
I think Leeds would give anything for a Gareth Ellis. I think that's why they went after Sean Laughlin in the Sean Laughlin.
Well, I'll say-
What, is that why Jamie
Well,
Pigot's been playing Union?
But what I would
Can I ask a question? Is Gareth Ellis, like on a match-to-match basis at Hull, if he is, why aren't Leeds just go tap Gareth Ellis
I
for the
think
rest of the
he's
season?
still paid as an assistant coach, and no doubt whether they had any.
But he's under contract.
If
that's
you
what
were
I'm saying.
Lee
Yeah, as
Radford,
an
if you
assistant
were Lee
coach.
Radford,
No,
no,
you won't let
contract
go.
end of the season, would you be worried that Gareth Ellis might be about to take your job?
I don't know. I don't know if Gareth Ellis is. He's learning to be a coach. I don't know if he's ready to be a Super League coach. That's a huge leap.
No, it is.
But
It
it,
is.
dep- it
Is that
depends.
the rumour mill, is it?
Depends if
No,
it's a-
I'm asking,
oh,
he's out of
depends if
contract.
it's a
I haven't
cost-
heard anything about getting a
If
new
it's a
one.
cost- well, Lee Radford and 15 players, is it? They're out of contract.
It's on the paper.
That would be the worry. I think from a Salford point of view, they put all of their eggs into one basket this year,
Yeah,
called Jackson Hastings.
yeah.
He's been found out.
No, he's not.
He found out, or has he just dropped below his
He's not-
standards?
he's not-
No, the sister found him out.
Can
Found him out, man.
anybody do that virtually as the sole player around which everything pivots for 29 weeks of a season? I think that's virtually impossible.
15, as you say, for Hull FC. The interesting thing with Jackson Hastings, of course, is he's off contract as well, so he's very much in the shop window.
But I just worry that we said it right at the very beginning of the season. As we proved last week, we know nothing. But one
Well,
thing,
speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself.
most of us knew nothing last week. That Salford, we said the issue for them this year was the same as it's been for the last 2 or 3 years. The squad isn't deep enough, and that because of the number of games you've got to play, and because the competition this year means there are no games you can rest players or take it easy or underestimate your opposition, that is a hell of a, not just a physical onus but a mental one as well. And they said, look, we need to put all of our money into re-signing Lussick and Hastings, and I don't think you can expect them to perform at that level every week, as you couldn't if Blake Austin was the sole player around who Warrington were building everything. They share the load. That's why they're such a good team. And the problem is they haven't got a reserve grade, they haven't really got an academy, they're not producing any players, they're down to the 24, 25 players that they've got, which is the same as the 24, 25 players number-wise that they've had for the last 2 or 3 years. And we've seen it every year, that they start off quite well and then they go into freeze.
While Brian's here, Richard in Sydney has asked a question of Phil.
No, we're not renewing your contract in July.
No, sod off, Brian. Go and do something with the World Cup.
Andrew Charm's going to do this.
Hold on, this is well worth 80 grand a year. Don't worry about that. £80,000, Brian.
You know that bloke with the name we can't
See you
pronounce
sometime
in
next week,
Australia?
Brian.
Who's
See you
gonna
next
sign
week,
for
you.
Leeds? If they had the money for him,
That's me. That's me.
Oh, is that you?
that was a question
More
from
milk
Richard.
than tea.
You know, Phil, you remember that bloke from Australia who they were going to sign for the NRL, the forward with the long name?
Ava.
Him, yeah. If they're going to be able to afford him, why can't they afford somebody else?
Ava wasn't expensive.
There you go, Richard. There you go.
Cronulla wanted,
They've got Cronulla.
needed to get somebody off their salary cap. So I think part of the reason why he was available, I don't know how good he is.
Get on with it. Come on, the deadline's got to be. Is it 7 o'clock
Yeah,
yet?
I can answer James's question
Go on,
quickly.
then.
Though. He said, "Why is the Challenge Cup games on Thursday and Friday? None of them are on TV because Easter's coming up.
Easter.
It's bad schedule.
And this round isn't on TV, it's
Simple.
on Red Bull.
Why is it played the week before Easter?
Blame.
Why not
whoever
play it
puts the
this week?
computers
I
in.
have no idea.
You know, I don't understand that. I think
so-
you're asking clubs too much.
Welcome to the Round 3 Rogues.
Yes, here we go.
Everyone will be sending out lovely things on Twitter with graphics. We just read them out. 3 points at Hull KR went to Danny Maguire.
Hey!
2 points Conrad Hurrell. 1 point Craig Hall.
Right.
Cass versus Wigan. 3 points Oliver Gildarts. 2 points Adam Milner. 1 point Liam Watts.
I think must have done that at half time.
Went home. Warrington, London. Blake Austin, Joe Philbin, Tom Lynham. Salford, Hull. Josh Griffin, Mark Sneeds at Niall Levels. Wakefield, Huddersfield. Dave Fafita. 2 individual tries that changed the game. Thank you very much. 2 Riesling. He was very good, by the way. He does lots of running and lots of running sideways. He's like the Ray Wilkins of Rugby League.
Yeah, I like Lynn. I think
I
he's
think
a
he-
really
he's been-
improved
I think
player.
his England experience has turned him into a
Yeah.
different player.
Handful all night with solid tackle busts and big meters.
He started, what I noticed with Lynn is he started to set some really big carries out of his own half, and he generally gets them on the front foot. I like him.
1 point Darnell McIntosh. 1 try, 1 assist. Good play from the fullback. I thought he got 2 tries, but I wasn't paying attention. Catlins versus I'd fallen asleep.
And a Gaskell player.
All right.
No.
Maybe see. Well, no,
He did score 2 tries.
Oh, did he? No, that's right. I'm shocked. He played all right.
Shocked that you're right, or shocked that the bloke
Shocked that I was
picking
right.
the man of the match didn't know he'd scored 2.
I thought I was listening to the Peter guy, right?
I'm shocked that whoever's written the notes
yeah.
on checked.
Checked it. Gaskell played. No one was outstanding. It was just meh. It was a flat. Neither team was able to get a platform.
Right.
Not helped by 11 penalties in the first half, but we know, you know. Catalan Saints, 3 points. Sam Tompkins is there. 1 try, 1 assist, 5 tackle busts. Come and check. 2 points. Tony Gigot, despite the fact he was having a great running battle with Rob Hicks, wasn't he? That was great fun. 1 point. Tommy Makinson.
Who finally got his 100
Yeah, I'm going to
try.
say, I tipped him as top try.
Been
scorer.
waiting a
That's
long
right,
time,
that's
hasn't
right.
he?
Yeah,
A long
was it
time.
February since his last try?
Do
Yeah.
you think McNamara's been listening to the show, fellas? We all said get Gijo back at fullback, Tompkins at 6. Make
I
everybody
mean, that's
happy.
amazing how it works.
Do you think he's been listening, boys?
I'll check the
Because Tompkins and Gijo are absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched the bit of it. I was
Yeah,
in
they
the
were
pub.
outstanding. Yeah.
Mark says Gaskell didn't play, which shows you how much attention I was paying. So there you go. Sandy says, what do you think of the Nanamos?
They seem
Well,
to be
there's only
disappearing.
4. There were
Yeah.
about 10 earlier on, so
There you
I
go.
think these. I haven't had one either. I'm
Speaking of
refraining.
a couple of people have asked us, so I may as well ask this now because Lewis has brought it up on Facebook and someone else did on Twitter, maybe Twitter's broken. Lewis says, what's your guys' thoughts on Oliver Wilson going to Huddersfield from Bradford for a 6-figure transfer fee? Personally, I think it's good business for the Bulls if it happens. It's very good business, isn't it, to sell a player who...
I think
I don't know
Never heard
about the
of
kid. I'm
I
not going to
think
lie. There's
yeah.
no point lying, is there?
Warrington offered a 6-figure fee at the start of the season. So
What
there's
position is
obviously
he?
prop.
which is an interesting figure to spend on a prop forward, isn't it?
I've seen Bradford a couple of times this year and I don't know.
It's interesting. I mean,
Hasn't played a lot
obviously,
first team.
Was it not?
they reported big losses last year, the Bulls, so they clearly need some money, don't they?
And doesn't their lease arrangement change middle of this year?
Man.
That's
What's
what-
relevant is that unless they're going to sell it?
Well, is it theirs to sell?
Well, it's the Rugby League to sell. It's my understanding
The
that they
Rugby
plan
League-
on selling it as well.
The Rugby League might ask Bradford for even more rent than they're paying at the moment.
That'd be a shame, wouldn't it?
I don't think
It was
would,
Daniel Daniel asked the same. He said it's the same as we got for Sam
I'm asking me
Burgess,
at the moment.
and 30k more than what we got for John Bateman. Who's obviously a superstar now in Australia, John Bateman.
Well, that justifies, and when we say about teams producing players, and I saw a tweet the other day from Siddle, who was saying that their under-23s was entirely made up of kids that played in the juniors. Their first team had so many lads that played in the juniors. My question is this then, the RFL, should they not be looking to put money into teams like Siddle, even if it's just buying all the gear that they have? Because I know there's a lot of, as you know, with clubs, and a bit saying Hunslet at Parkside, is that they generate their own money and they spend it accordingly, look after it. I think as an RFL club, we should be looking at Siddle and saying they do far more for our sport than a number of clubs, I'm not going to name them, a number of clubs in the Championship and League One that don't have a reserve team, that don't have a junior setup, that don't produce any players. Why are we funding these
So
teams?
should Siddle be presenting to the League One and Championship and possibly Super League clubs on Thursday at Salford, as well as New York and Ottawa, saying, is there any reason why we couldn't be?
Well, I think we should go into. I think the NCL should be below League One, and if you're bottom of League One or bottom two, you go to NCL.
There need to
If
be
you're NCL,
standards.
you come up.
There need to be standards.
Yeah, but I think
But
dare say
I
I think
think
a lot of the NCL clubs will meet those standards.
Why
won't
shouldn't Siddle be in League One next year?
Well, that's my point. But I don't think you should do it for teams like that. I think there should be a natural pathway. And people go, well, they don't want to be semi-pro. They don't have to be. They don't have to spend money. Well, we saw Hunslet went to Featherstone and beat Fev, and all right, we're a bunch of trialists and whatever for Fev. They still went there and won. They competed against York, who weren't a bunch of trialists. So if they want to progress, let them progress. That's what I say. And get teams out that, quite frankly, are offering nothing. And I think there's a few of them at the minute. I really do.
Add another one to that because they've got to play in the women's squad as well.
Oh, cool.
So there you go, you see. It's all going on. Elsewhere, Toby said, can we do a combined 13% to Warrington? No, we haven't got time. And I thought Lee Gaskell was playing on Friday. I haven't got a clue who's any good, have I? Elsewhere, David says, Daniel Smith to Castleford. Thoughts, lads? Good signing.
Yeah, I don't know why it hasn't worked out. I like him, me, but it's obviously not worked out. But
Any of the clubs he's been at.
no, that would be the...
He is in Last Chance Saloon, but he clearly... I think he's been played out of position a bit as well. Hopefully he's fit. Jury's out, isn't it? Anybody that you buy at this time of year is because there is not a lot available. I wish him all the best because I think he's got something, but is he going to break into that cast team on a regular basis at the moment?
They do. What they may be thinking, with the best one in the world, is that they might want to rotate a few. And it's nice to have someone.
Well, I think one of Daryl's philosophies, he likes competition for places, doesn't
Yeah.
he? I think he likes a big squad, big numbers, and he likes competition for places. So yeah, if the kid stays fit, certainly.
Well, if
he said he's gone there with a smile on his face, so hopefully it's going to work out for him.
If he can get out of him what he has out of people like Alex Foster and Mike McMeekin and maybe Chris Clarkson, then of course it's a good sign.
Nigel wants 2 of those t-shirts. People want them.
Does it? You can
This
have
is
them.
ridiculous.
Just send us a DM, we'll sort
This
that
is
out,
ridiculous.
however you do it.
Speaking of Castleford
Yes.
and Wigan,
Yes.
I didn't watch the game on Friday because I was at Wakefield, but I did watch Thursday's Hull Kingston Leeds build-up with Phil Clark, which was a fascinating piece of television.
Right.
Where they were talking about the problems at Wigan.
All right. Okay.
And
You didn't go all Brian Carney on them, did you?
Oh, well, nearly.
It was like listening to Scully that when Carney went on his rant. Have you seen it?
No,
Oh.
I didn't see it. No.
He teed off on Wigan big time.
And then-
On the players, yeah.
And then Bobby Golding had to go at Brian Carney on Twitter. It was all a bit odd. You remember Bobby Gold? You'll love that. So Phil Clark, very much in the Scully school of thought on the players taking the drugs, without naming any names, as they kept pointing out to him. We don't know what's happened with the player at Wigan, although he seemed to do what he was saying. He was very much along the lines of no second chances, that's it, you're binned off. Well, on that score, then there's hardly anyone left at Wigan, is there? Because their star signing from the off-season wouldn't be there. Wigan are in a bit of bother, aren't they? Everything's going wrong.
You just wouldn't want to be in charge of their PR at the moment.
That's a good
Well, it doesn't help when the PR that they have got to put out there, they don't put out there properly. But we mentioned this Bateman. Oh, he's coming back, he's signed a new deal. No, he hasn't. Tom Evans has signed a 3-year deal. No, he hasn't. Don't lie to people and you don't get caught out. But the culture, they've had a player done for drink driving. Well, they've had 2 players done for drink driving. Another one's failed a drug test. The culture there, you would argue, is rotten, isn't it?
Well,
You chuck it to the Tompkins sink from last year. This
you
is
know,
ongoing.
and we know with McCallum leaving, but as I say, this for me is a Sean Wayne factor. If Sean Wayne was still in charge, this wouldn't be happening. This would not be
Well, it
happening.
happened last year. The Tompkins thing was on his watch.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have known about it because the man was doing all the interfering, and now he seems to be taking a bit of a backward step, i.e. publicity-wise and whatever. It's Mr. Lenigan. Mr. Lenigan is making an absolute shambles of that club. Absolute shambles. He isn't. And where's the chief executive? Where's Radlinski? Where's his publicity now? Eh?
It's a
Where's
great
his?
point. Ever since you brought that up about what you thought that he should have stepped down.
He should have done.
It is. What is he?
He's a puppet. That's what he is. He's a puppet. That's what Chris is. But Wayne himself, the man what Sean is, say we all know Sean, and I say, as I've said it many times, I've known Sean since we were 12 years of age, and he's a man of principle, and I say he wasn't going to be belittled, he wasn't going to be embarrassed, because that's what they did to him. That's what they did to him.
Done. They can't know about that now.
No, Mark, I understand that, but the simple fact is, if Sean Wayne was still at Wigan, this would not be happening. No, it's not. But the point is, if it was...
Well, what's the point in saying he's not there? It's like saying with Kevin Sinfield was still
it's like saying what Phil with McDermott and all this, but the fact of the matter is, there shouldn't have been a change then in the first place. Does that make sense?
I agree with
that.
There
shouldn't have been a change.
It's happened.
But if that change would have happened, Wigan would not be in this mess.
One thing I would
But
say...
they are. So what do they do? How do they get out of it then?
Well, there's Lenigan and Radlinski got to go. They've got to move on. Sell it to somebody.
You talk about the issue is one of culture. Is it that because Sean Wayne had most of the kids that have played and have come through to a senior level as under 18s, he came through with them in some respects? He, in a lot of ways, mentored them.
Well, we said at the time when he left, those players won't know anything other than Sean Wayne.
Some of these issues may well have happened under Sean Wayne's watch, but because he was in total and utter control, he could deal with it. Has the lid now come off? And it's very, very hard for Adrian Lamb, who doesn't even know if he's going to be there next year, to have that kind of influence over this group of players. I thought, quite rightly, we should always put the focus on the team at the bottom of the table who cannot defend on their own line at the moment. But that Wigan performance in the second half, where they conceded
what happened? Because I didn't see it. What happened?
They conceded 5 tries, all from close in. And the great strength of Castleford is their character and belief, and whoever is in their ranks, they've got what Darryl Powell has instilled in them. They may not win every week, but one thing you can't really question is their spirit. Whereas Wigan folded, but they folded to tries being scored on their own line.
Was O'Loughlin playing?
No.
Well, Lachlan and Flower were missing, weren't they? Which were 2 big blows for them.
And they are bringing through a lot of kids at the moment. But again, I think there's been some analysis.
Can't talk about injuries though. Cass had half missing as well.
No, there are any players, everyone's injured.
But you look through the stats, and the Cass forwards made multiple metres. The Wigan forward, apart from I think Partington, who tackled his heart out, didn't. And that would be a worry for me. The manner you can lose, there's no problem with you can look at the experience you've got in key positions. You can say that may or may not have been a factor. But when you're conceding tries really close in, I think that says a lot about a team. And Wigan and Leeds have been guilty of that this year.
6,800 at the
Well,
Jungle.
that is a concern.
That worried me as
As
well.
much as people are worrying about
the
the
more than that. If that's a Sunday game, is that getting 10,000? It should be. That's.
It would be.
I don't know. So we're playing Thursday, so we can't play Sunday, but. Needs sorting out. That crowd is not good enough, really. It's disappointing. Casa have got a good. That's well below their average, isn't it? And against one of the bigger teams.
Well, you look at the travelling fans as well. They would prefer to travel on a Sunday afternoon, rather than Thursday night, Friday night. That M62.
Is it just there's too many things to do these days that people don't want to spend 25 quid or whatever to go watch Rugby League?
The good thing, if there is a good thing, particularly if you're Robert Elston, is that there is an upward trend in all the viewing figures this year. Now, the corollary of that might be because we're not bringing in new fans, some of our existing fans are watching at home. The good thing for that is that we're about to start negotiating a very important television deal with Sky, who will base it on the number of people viewing their...
Yeah, so they just don't have all the games on the same night.
But also, if the only good thing, possibly, is that more people are watching it on the telly.
There's a letter in League Weekly. People have got to look at the real world and see what it is, right? Talking about Amazon, YouTube Network. YouTube does. Netflix, etc., will be more interested in cajoling Jeremy Clarkson, blah blah blah. Yeah, because you record the Jeremy Clarkson programme, you pay him £10 million or whatever, and he prattles around with cars and does some dubious material, he says. And people can watch that over and over and over and over again.
Which, funnily enough, you get advertisers that want to be part of it.
A rugby league match, a football match, a tennis match, and I know Amazon are showing tennis. I don't really know why they bought that. You watch it once, chances are you're not going to watch it again. You know, if you go to a game on Friday, if you were at the Wakefield host to a game, and you got home, you think, I shall watch Wigan Cast. It's a great, sounds like an exciting match, but you think, no, I've actually got other things to do. People don't watch live sport on catch-up because they already know what's happened, unless they really want to watch it. So the only people who are going to pay for the content are Sky and BT, and it looks like it's only going to be Sky, because BT have shown no interest and they're crap anyway. And stop bringing up Premier and Free Sports and all that crap, because no one watches those either. And you can, we talk about figures on an upward trend. Well, not all figures are on an upward trend. People the RFL should realise. But it is a concerning crowd at Castleford on Friday, and there must be reason. We need to ask people. This is something for Robert Elston to do and his team at Super League. Why aren't people going to games? Not let's get them. What can we do to get people?
The first big benchmark for the Robert Elston regime, and I appreciate that not everything he will be doing at the moment will be in the public arena, and perhaps nor should it be. But one of the things he did say to judge him by was a sellout on the Good Friday game between Wigan and St Helens.
Right, that ain't going to happen.
Good point made here.
Then we can ask that question on
No, I don't think
Easter
that'll happen.
Saturday.
I don't think Wigan will sell enough tickets, will they?
No. I don't think so. I don't think they'll get 25,000. But I still think it's amazing that the highest attendance for a Super League game is from 2005.
Yeah.
Neil makes a very good point here, and there are two factors in this which we'll come to, or one factor I can think of off the top of my head anyway. Yorkshire and Lancashire can get 22,000 for a T20 match on a Friday night. Getting over the penalties isn't an issue if the desire is there, and the sport needs to find out why it is and tackle it. Now, granted, that's...
They play once.
Exactly.
They play once.
There is that, but people make excuses. And again, when I say this, it's not people who can't afford to go or are working. People make excuses not to go.
Yeah, you do,
It's
because
easy
with the
not
best
to
one in the
go.
world, Cast Wigan, it's round 10, round 9 as it was.
Well,
There's another 20 rounds left yet.
And
You don't need to
they're
go.
likely to play each other at least.
I don't know if
three.
they'll play on the loop
Steve,
or not.
But even if they don't, the chances are they might play in a playoff or...
Steve says Cass have never had big crowds. Not for the last few years.
Yeah,
Bigger.
That's not right.
You would expect more for a Wigan game.
Alan
Yes, I
says-
would.
And I think part of the issue of the Wigan games up to this year was you had the Sean Wayne Darrell Powell factor.
Maybe.
A bit of animosity between the two
I think,
clubs.
what last year we were down there, the year before when Cass played Hull, and there were 11,000 there, remember that Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, you were there with Doc, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
we
you
did
and
the
Doc
yeah,
were
and
there,
absolutely, the
Yeah.
place was just like the old
Rocking.
days,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely rocking. 3 o'clock kick-off, lovely Sunday afternoon. I think they just over 11,000. I think Hull brought 3,500, 4,000
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, so they did answer.
And
Sunday afternoon,
that would be
believe.
the worry at Salford, because that was a Sunday afternoon. It was the only game in town. Hull will have taken at least 1,000 fans, 3.5.
Alan says, is it only Warrington who actually market their home games? Possibly. Nick says, do poor facilities contribute to low attendances? Yeah, but apart from Wakefield and Castleford.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I was speaking to a Saints fan on the train the other week when I went to London, and he said he loves going to Castleford and Wakefield because he likes being really close to the thing. He doesn't like going to St Helens because you sat in the stand and it's like there's no atmosphere. You know, it's interesting. Eamon McManus made a point about about saying about how it's better when you can move around and you get involved, and maybe they need to learn from the French. So maybe we need to look at that. You know, I know the days of changing ends at half time. You can't do that in a seated stadium, but I don't know, maybe that's something you need to do.
Ticket prices have been mentioned by Craig and also by Jamie and a few
I
others.
think that is an issue.
Well, Jamie says, if I take my kids, 1 adult and 3 children to a game on Friday, straight after work, grab a quick sandwich with tickets and a hot chocolate and tea, it's around 80, 90 quid.
Yeah, I have said this on multiple occasions. I do not know how families go to rugby. I don't know how they do it. Football, rugby, you see them. And it's not only that, the families that go where they've all got the shirts on, they've all got I just do not know how they do it. I do not know. It's a way of life for these people. So it's an amazing commitment. It really is an amazing commitment.
The parents, man, as you well know, that's all they've got to work for.
Yeah, well, it is for some people.
It is.
But, you know, if I say to you, right, Gary, come on, do you fancy going out on Friday? It'll be 100 quid. You're going to go, well, I'll watch it on the telly and have a couple, or I might go to the pub and
I'll go to the pub and watch it.
spend 30 quid and watch it on the telly.
Where at pub it's £3.5 a pint, at the Rugby League grounds now you're averaging £4.50 a fiver.
That's it.
And it's nuts, normal drink. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
But the
You know
players,
what I mean?
Well, you won't have to, will you, anyway?
It's a bit harsh.
And if you
Players
don't
don't
pay
take
for it,
it,
it tastes better, doesn't it?
I've just said it costs a falling out to £5, Phil. It's a
Who
nightmare.
went to the bar for you?
Roy Dicko. With my money.
No.
Well, whatever.
Well,
if you'd have gone to the bar, you'd have been waving it around. Hey, look, I'm off to the bar. I'm off to. This is me. I'm off to the bar.
I don't think so. I'm
When
always at bar when I'm out with you.
Is it true, by the way, that when you went to the bar at Keighley, they had to actually replace the carpet because you left traction burns on the thing because you were walking that slowly?
And when you're at Odsall as a guest of Mr. Wood, do you wave your father going, I'll get these, Nigel? Oh, all right, no, you bring them over.
No. Nigel goes. Service.
It's a shame for Rugby League because we're not sexy enough for politicians to get involved and moan about prices for away fans as they do with their 20 for 20 or whatever, 20's plenty or whatever, and moaning about away fans having to travel and pay on trains that are expensive. But it's all right for football fans, they can get everything on the cheap.
As part of the marketing of the sport, should Super League be allocating some money to keep prices down for away fans?
They tried that
It's a
with a free travel
it's a
thing, didn't they?
difficult
But that
one.
actually came out of the club's budget, so I don't think anyone knew that. So it wasn't
No,
free,
I'm
was it?
saying
It came
as-
at a cost.
You had a very interesting situation at Wakefield the other week, which I'm surprised no one picked up on. Women got in cheaper because it was a women in league round,
Right.
which I'm surprised no one pulled them up on because that's actually probably illegal with sex discrimination and stuff. But you can't just say, all right, here the tickets are cheaper. That's not going to get people in. We have to do more to get people in. You know, if we.
But is it Championship or Premier League football? Isn't there a ceiling on away ticket
Yeah,
prices?
there is, but there isn't in the Championship. So you can pay more
No,
in the
no, I don't-
Championship
I don't
than
know.
in the Premier League. But in the
Right.
Premier League, with the best will in the world, Phil,
They have
as
got-
someone said the other week, it doesn't matter if no one goes to the football.
Yeah.
They've got more than enough money.
Yeah.
They're not relying on you going. And that sounds ridiculous because at Arsenal, what they'll be getting £1.5, £2 million a game, gate money. They actually don't need it. That's how bad it is.
But
They
we
make
al-
more in one game than Super League
we
spend
al-
on
we
one
also
season.
need, if we're going to appeal to a broadcaster, we're going to make the sport appear sexy, is we can't play it in front of empty stadium. One of the
Totally
things
agree.
now with Toronto, and we're watching them play every week on our screens, and they're playing some great rugby, and there's no reason why you shouldn't watch it. One of the things that grates is the camera pans around the ground, and there's
Well, there's
nobody
never
there.
anyone there.
Sanders there.
So if you're sending that
Thanks,
back
Sandy.
to Canada and saying this is
Yeah,
a
they must
sexy,
think, what's
a
this all
sexy
about?
sport that you want to get involved in when we
Yeah.
come back home and we need 8,000 or 9,000 at Lamport, you're going, well, nobody watches.
No, I agree with that. I think it's a terrible look.
People will be upset because we haven't spoken about Ottawa in New York and all that stuff. But we'll talk about that next week when we know what's happening. Mick says we don't have the characters in the game anymore. There are there, Mick, but
They are.
but the
They
problem
are
is,
there.
the
We
problem
don't
is,
see enough of them.
the problem is people talk the talk and don't walk the walk in terms of what they say they're going to do.
Here's
Which
a
is
question.
why I'm actually having to walk the walk.
Robert Elston has said we want to promote the superstars of the sport.
Yeah.
That was again another of his
Yeah.
measure me by the.
Who've we promoted so far? Then?
Well, my argument would be that one of the superstars of the sport quite clearly is Tom Johnson, who unfortunately is not going to be playing again this year. Why is he not on every media outlet at the moment?
Question the sport instead of
No, but why
National
is
Week.
it when Sky are picking guests and they've picked
Oh.
some great guests, but why is he not a regular now? Why is he not on the Super League show? Why is he not,
Well, this is
doing radio commentaries? We haven't seen Tom Johnson since he got injured,
I was thinking about
and yet
this.
he's one of the people that could be a real.
Actually, I have
character in
seen him.
sport.
He did that learning
Yeah.
disability video. Brilliant, really good, by the way. Absolutely fantastic, that video, by the way.
I was thinking
All
about this on the
over
way in because I was thinking back to people we always see on the telly and people we don't see on the telly. And when we had a show elsewhere, one of the best guests we had on, because he was open and honest and speaks well, is Earl Crabtree. Why is he not on the telly? He's immediately a presence.
Well, I dare say he would be one of the most recognisable rugby league players. But anyway, we need to do more. We know that.
So we're trying.
We are trying. One thing that has grabbed the attention this week, and we're glad to see it, is the Women's Super League.
Although, it's pointed out to me the other day,
Oh.
or this morning rather, it's funny because everyone was doing previews and stuff last week, weren't they? But if you go on their websites now, there's nothing about the results or anything.
Right.
So it's almost like we can do all the build-up, but we've given up now. But, in fairness, there is a point where the sport, and again, I don't know how many people are left in the media department of the Rugby Football League. There's a great story in The Guardian
Can I just ask,
yeah,
by the
yeah, sorry,
way,
yeah,
you all went for Wigan last week, and I went for St Helens. Do I get any bonus points for that?
No, because it's not on the thing.
Well, you've got to put it on, because I got it right.
I'll change it. I'll do it somehow.
Yeah. It's knocked some off score.
What again?
Well, actually, you can't knock any off 0, can you?
Um,
You're in minus.
There's a great story in the Guardian. Well, I don't think it was in the paper. I don't buy papers. It was in. It was on the website that Aaron did about Courtney Hill of the Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah.
She used to play cricket.
Yeah.
In the Big Bash.
Yeah.
And then she's playing rugby league for Leeds now. I didn't know this story. Why no people?
She's
need
an
to tell
elite
us.
sportswoman.
People
Played
need-
in the Big Bash.
But people need to tell us these things because people don't have the time. Local media's I don't know about local media in terms of writing, but local radio's dead. Right, it's going to be dead this year. Lots of people lost their jobs last week, and more will lose their as the week goes on. By the way, I'll tell you what's the biggest load of crap this week, right? And
He's on fire tonight. by the way.
He's good. He's good.
it's the you know, we create our own stories. We create our own personalities. It's our fault. So what we do is instead of focusing on personalities, we do a story about a bloke who's a mascot as a stag do at Halifax. What benefit going forward does that do for the sport? Few people click on it. No one goes to watch a game. No one is any interest in Halifax. It's a waste of time.
All right.
Time that could have been spent focusing on a personality. That's a block on the BBC website that's absolutely wasted.
All right. Fair enough.
Might as well do articles about fellas with cowbells again. What are we doing? What are we? And it's up to us, but we don't know everything. That's why someone needs to tell us who these people are, who we should be focusing on.
Can we talk about the Women's Super League?
Exactly, 'cause that's what I need to talk about.
Very
'Cause
good.
it's- 'cause
Right,
the
you
results
two
are
were
on
at
the
the game
website.
yesterday. You were at
Right.
Leeds. Leeds on Facebook as well. 14,000 plus have watched it. We expected it to be one-sided purely because Wakefield are new to Super League. It's going to be tough. They're playing one of the best teams in the competition. Big win for Leeds. What was the game like? What were?
I think rather than focus on field,
Yeah.
and it's safe to say that the experience and the physical condition of the Leeds team was superior to Wakefield. Some of the skills on show were magnificent. I think Danielle Anderson is somebody that people need to follow and watch because she's prop forward for Leeds, absolutely magnificent. Like David Fafita scored a try from halfway, sidestepped a couple of players. The standard is great. There are obviously disparities in it. I think we'll find that York will struggle this year. Wakefield, as you say, new to the division. But I think even Wakefield acknowledged that their performance was better than it would have been this time last year, which is what you want, progression. So you've got some teams at the top like Wigan and Saints who fought out a magnificent 6-4 game. You've got Castleford who are clearly improving as well. And Leeds who I think will be up there. Featherstone and Bradford who are regenerating. So it's... Go and watch it because the rugby's great anyway. And the best thing about it for me is that it's a throwback to when a lot of us started watching rugby. It's not about the wrestling.
Yeah.
It's time,
It's
it's
about the
space,
skill.
it's skill,
Yeah.
it's bravery, but it's not about trying to milk penalties. It's not about dominating in the ruck area.
It's not about people in the crowd shouting offside or
Well,
forward.
but this is the thing I was going to say. The standard on the field is worth going for anyway, no matter who is playing. So if you get the chance to see it, if they're doing a double header, watch it. What I found amazing yesterday, again, was the actual ambience and atmosphere in the crowd, which is something that we've lost in the professional, semi-professional game. There must have been 500 people there, I would have said.
You would know better than me, Phil.
I didn't hear anybody scream at a referee. I didn't hear anybody shout, get them onside or forward. I only heard people cheering the players, many of whom will have been friends or relatives. The demographic was a lot of young girls and women who brought along males rather than the other way around. It was a really, really pleasant afternoon to watch rugby. The intensity was there. It was a local derby game, but the actual joy of being in a crowd where we just watched the game was fantastic.
$5 to get in, you know, it's cheap. I'm sure for kids it was like nothing or whatever.
It was free for kids.
So there you go. I can sense the backlash is going to come. Why is all this attention being thrown on the Women's Super League, whatever? And
Because
I'll
it's
tell
how
you
the game is going to grow in the short
exactly.
term.
I'll tell you for why. Because you've got Wigan versus St Helens, you've got Leeds versus Wakefield, Bradford, Featherstone, York and Cass. They're all recognisable teams. I know a couple of them are in the league below Super League or whatever. Oh, by the way, Dominic wanted the results, so he couldn't find them. York 0, Castleford 80, Wigan. We don't even have a score here. 4, St Helens 6, Bradford 38, Featherstone 16, Leeds 58, Wakefield 4. This week, by the way, Wigan Cast, what a belter that's going to be. York Wakefield, massive game for both teams, and Featherstone versus Leeds. You might hear more about that later in the week here on this channel. The fact of the matter is, your team, because people say, oh, what about the good of the game, blah, 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 blah. People really want their team to be successful. They don't give a damn about the rest of the sport. Here's the thing. There is far more of an upside to the very best women playing rugby league against each other than third tier men. People don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. If I was the Rugby Football League with the R League app, I'd bin off coverage of League One, bin off coverage of the Championship. Forget it. This is what I'd be focusing on, because this is the elite. This is the best of the best. Is it as good as League One Rugby League? I've got no idea. I'm sure it's probably better than some of the teams in there. But they are the best in their class. They are the best.
Very good.
As opposed to promoting the second, all these championship clubs and whatever, League One clubs, they're second and third tier. They are not the best at what they do.
So you're saying a crowd of roughly 500 then, that would compete. Doncaster got 562, Scholars got 629, wasn't that part of the double header as well?
Yeah.
889 for Newcastle, 238 for West Wales and 724 for Whitehaven. So no, they're not newly formed Leeds women, we know that, but they're a resurgent Leeds women. Are getting almost as many as Rugby League in Cumbria. Whitehaven gets 724 in what was a big game actually against Hunslet. They inflicted Hunslet's first defeat of the season. So he's right in what he's saying, isn't he? Scully's zoned out. We're talking serious. Scully's zoned out. But it is right, isn't it?
Other than the name.
And again, you go onto the BBC website, and again, I know they didn't have the results on there, and but again, is that their fault, or are they being told the results? You have to tell people what's going on. Because if they don't know.
I think the other thing we're talking about is creating personalities. There is absolutely no doubt that some of these women players across all of the clubs are personalities in their own right.
Yeah.
And we need to build them up.
Go on our YouTube and Facebook now, you can hear from 3 of them.
Everybody has seen Jodie Cunningham doing commentary. She's enhanced, I think, a lot of the broadcasts that she's been on. They could actually watch her play yesterday. Fantastic.
I use the BBC as the example because they are... When I want sports news, they're the first people I go to, which is the Iron. Yeah. And if you go onto their website week in, week out, there is more women's sports coverage on there than there's ever been
before. The
before.
Daily Telegraph has now got a women's sports editor and a whole section on women's sport. But we need to be taking her out for lunch.
There's netball on there pretty much every day. Rugby League, men's Rugby League doesn't get on there every day. And you can't tell me there's not more interest in men's Rugby League than there is in the Netball Super League. And that's a great marketing job by Sky, by the way. And yet, people... don't get what's going on. We can become Speedway, we can become BDO Darts if we focus on 2 big teams that no one cares about in League One. Because that's what you want.
Have announced that every one of their women's home games is going to be played as a double header.
Yeah.
Dave says apparently there was over 1,000 at Wigan Saints, according to the commentators.
Well, I did a game the last year. There must have been 400.
Well, say 1,000 puts them above 2 or 3. Above one and level with one championship fixture.
And there you go. The main Rugby League news on the BBC website is the fact there's a bloke on the stand who's a mascot, and that's where we're going wrong.
Yeah,
and that's
fair enough. Then fair enough. You're going to do some work on women's rugby league this week.
Crossed.
Talking of PDRL, it's come to our attention that you put your name forward for Anfield.
Have I?
Well, I told you that you've heard that Leeds are playing Warrington at Anfield.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know.
You don't know.
No.
Leeds are playing Warrington at Anfield in a
Who's on
PDRL game.
I might put mine in.
Adam Hills and Alex Brooker are playing again.
Right.
I think it's 10 minutes. It's a half time before one of the games.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
And I've heard that you put your name forward to play at Anfield.
News to me, Phil. But
well, I think you're being used as part of the promotion.
Well, honestly, it's news to me. And if it is, my sponsors who got me last time, I need a pair of boots. I'm available. If you want me to play, I'll play.
You could do about 10 minutes, couldn't you? I was thinking do 20.
But it's new to me. It's new to me.
You play at Anfield.
Yeah, of course. I'm available. I'm going for the weekend, so yeah.
You can tell them I'm no sleep.
Is that on the first day?
Yes, I think it's the afternoon of the Saturday.
I don't know.
Is it?
James pulled me up on me rant about the stamp do thing. At least it's publicity for our game. But where does it lead? It leads nowhere. A viral video of someone scoring a great try, Rangy Chaser's thing from the other year, something like that, is
David Fafita's try should be out.
Yeah.
Caitlin Beaver's 2 tries burning down the wing yesterday.
Yeah.
But this is nothing. It's not, and we buy into this crap.
It's almost disparaging to the game,
It's
isn't it?
look at this comedy thing.
There's
Because we
no
treat the
full-
game as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What
agree.
other sport would give a 44-year-old man the chance to lead out?
Yeah,
And the
I
other
think
thing-
look, I get the.
Oh, yeah,
it's,
I
it's
understand.
funny,
Yeah.
but I
Yes.
also don't think it's if that's the headline. If that's the only headlines we can generate on the BBC Sport, the most popular sports website
And
in
that's
the
our
world,
fault.
that's our fault.
That's
Yeah,
our
I
fault.
get that. I go with that as well. By the way, well done to St Helens. They did beat Wigan
Yeah.
6-4. A
Sounded like an
tight
absolute
game.
tremendous game.
Yeah, a couple
that
of
surprise
sin binnings, a bit of fighting.
Well, it's a surprise result on the basis of the fact that Wigan are the defending champions,
Yeah.
and
So
they were
Wigan
at home.
beat Saints last year at Saints. Good game as well. That went down. I think that was a goal kick in it as well. So that's a rivalry that's building. That needs no introduction. So what do? You get them on Good Friday. Say, right, go on then, let's do it.
Yeah,
But are they allowed to do it at the DW? Because are they allowed 2 games on the same pitch? Because they don't own their own stadium.
What's
Have
interesting?
they got golden point as well?
Don't ask questions we
I
don't
don't
know the
think
answers.
so. I don't think so.
Interestingly, though, the England 32 women's squad, national performance, you know the men's squad's got the likes of Luke Gale and
Yeah, we're injured.
Tom. There's none of those in the England squad.
No,
In
I
the women's
noticed
squad.
that. Yeah, I noticed
I don't know
there was
why
some
that
big
is.
names missing. I thought that was strange.
But there you go. Well done, Rachel Thompson, who's got a hat trick in the grand final last year. We saw, and she's been named in the squad for the first time.
Good. Something for the girls to aspire to. Hopefully, playing for England.
But it was a great
World
atmosphere
Cup coming.
yesterday.
World Cup coming.
I might go to Fev on Sunday. I haven't decided yet.
World Nines for the women as well. I think they can send the team over to Australia at the end of the year.
The World Nines.
What time are we on?
Oh, geez, it's 25 to.
Right, okay. I want to have a look at the championship because it's getting interesting at the top. Toronto lead the way. Another comfortable win for them. They beat Sheffield 40 points to 10. Toulouse win again. They're only 2 points behind Big Spend in
They
Toronto.
play each other at the back.
They do. And
Get
then
along to
York,
Blackpool.
Sheffield on 12 points, and then it's Lee, Bradford and Halifax on 10. Featherstone on 8, and then a small gap back to Dewsbury. The top 8, I think, as we see it, Scully, is going to be the top 8. I would imagine come the end of the season, but it's starting to get a little bit tight in behind, isn't it? Now Toronto, they're not. And again, as Phil said earlier, it's good that Saints lost the game. Toronto are not out of sight, I think. We all thought they'll be out of sight, but they're not, are they?
No, they're not blowing everybody away, are they, to be honest with you, from there. And the team's hanging in. But again, the problem is with Toronto is that everybody will raise a game against them because the players what they've got, the quality what they've got from there. So they're gonna raise it. But when you look at it, but one side who I'm delighted at is up there in the third spot, York City Knights. As I said before the season started, so I think certainly they'll make the 5. John Flatman there's done a great job off the field, but on the field, 40. He's got them playing the right way, got a great team spirit, and they reacted to it. Plus, as well, Mark Aston's getting a tune out of his players there at Sheffield. I think what Aston's done, he's brought in players who want to wear that Sheffield jersey rather than bringing in players from a point, say for instance, like a Dane Chisholm, realistic, who wasn't really part of it. He didn't want to be part of the team spirit from there. So what Mark's got there now, he's got players who want to play for Sheffield, players who want to put that jersey on, and he's getting consistency from there. And Lee Cincionian's knocking on the door, but as you say, you can't rule out Featherstone, Halifax or Bradford. It's a great competition.
It's almost a shame this week. It takes a week off, doesn't it? Because we've obviously got the Challenge Cup coming up. Big win for Bradford yesterday over Dewsbury. They're on the fringe of the playoffs now. Lee, I think, probably doing better than we thought they may do, given all the upheaval they had. 46-30 wins over Barrow.
I should say we got in York, by the way. James Ford's on the By the Balls podcast.
Oh, yes,
by our
yes.
friends Ross and
He is.
John.
But it's a division that's dominated by finance. The teams that have got
As
the
it has been
finance
for the last 2 or 3
are
years.
in the top 8. The teams that haven't got it are in the bottom 5.
I don't think Sheffield Mark's got a lot of finance, if I'm honest with you, from that. I think what Mark's done is he's got players who, with the right attitude,
He's
love
got a
to play
lot
for
of players
Sheffield.
back who used to play for Sheffield, and I think that's made a difference. But they have spent more this year than they did in the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
but they've not got like a sugar daddy, this sort of thing.
No.
You know what I mean? So
They have had finance off
But
the RFL in the past few years.
Right, yeah, well,
and I think they will be spending more than Rochdale, say, or Swinton.
Yeah, who are in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
And will have been relieved to see Widnes lose yesterday at Batley. That's a hell of a result for Batley. But again,
I
you know,
think
if we're going to be critical, Batley got 1,420 yesterday against Widnes.
The interesting thing, I think, is that this week there is a meeting to discuss whether, well, not whether Ottawa or New York are going to get in, but so that they can outline their plans to some of the other clubs that the RFL want to take the temperature of, because you obviously want to get some kind of consultation and consensus before you make your final decision. Now, I don't think that we expect necessarily an announcement on Friday morning whether one or other or both of those clubs are in, but you look at the top of the championship at the moment, and if things stay as they are, then there's a very good possibility that either Toronto or Toulouse will get promoted. Do we know yet that the Super League are prepared to let these clubs in? Because again, the word going around is there are additional conditions attached to them being allowed.
As Ralph told us at the start of last year, they're not guaranteed. It's not in that they're guaranteed to get in.
Don't they and us as supporters need to know what they are? Because we're now a third of the way through the season. If this is going to happen, rather than being reactive, don't we as a sport need to be proactive and say if either of these two teams do finish in a position where we've guaranteed automatic promotion, there can't be any extra stipulations on it because we've guaranteed automatic promotion. If they are, could we at least not know what they are? Could the clubs not come out? I mean, Batley are one of those clubs that have said it's not our aim and ambition to necessarily ever be in Super League. Now, if they won that competition, would they perhaps turn down the chance to be in Super League? We need to know, I think, as fans, and for the transparency and credibility of the sport, are there additional conditions on Toronto or Toulouse if they are to get promoted? And if so, are they likely to accede them? We don't want to get to the position with the Challenge Cup where, because Catalan have won it, we suddenly panic and say, oh, it's £500,000 if you want to come in and defend it, and then have to retract that. I just think, you know, that it's the right time for the game to be saying, if we're talking about bringing in two teams that are expansion teams, what is our policy on expansion teams playing in the top flight?
Fantastic book here by 4020 magazine columnist Martin Calvin about sport on TV. Is this the reason why Ottawa and New York are wanted in the competition is because of TV rights deals in America? Because
but there'll only be a TV rights deal if they're playing each other.
This is the thing. We were, I think it was last week or the week before, I mentioned I randomly got home and watched an American football game on YouTube that was live in this new Alliance of American Football. Well, that Alliance of American Football has closed down because it ran out of money midway through a season. Is there really TV money out there in North America for a secondary ball handling product? Because it appears...
Yes, there is, if it's at the elite level. It goes back
I'm
to
not sure
what you were saying.
though.
Well, I think that there is, because everybody's looking for content, but you're not going to sell a TV deal if Toronto are playing in one division and Ottawa are playing in another.
No. I just... It's a completely alien sport to them. If they can't get a second-tier American football competition, which is a sport they all understand off the ground...
But it's because it's second tier.
I understand that, but we're talking about taking a completely alien sport to them.
I think you would get a deal, but you wouldn't get a deal that's going to revolutionise the face of the sport. So unless you set out to get that deal.
What are we doing with these clubs? Because the problem for the RFL has been, and we've mentioned this on the show before, there has been a publicity war from New York, or whatever we want to call it, through various media people who have interesting views on things, and you sometimes wonder, is it misinformation, is it whatever you want to call it? But the RFL can't say anything, because as soon as someone comes out of the RFL and says, no, this, well, I'll pick another place, because it's unfair to pick on New York or Ottawa. Say I'm going to set up a team in New Orleans. So here's my team in New Orleans, I've got shirts, I'm going to sell you a shirt, we've got loads of money behind it, we've got all these backers. And I say all this stuff and I leak it to various members of the media, and they all go, yeah, we're going to have a team in New Orleans, it's going to be great. The RFL can't come out and say, oh no, this New Orleans bid's a load of crap. Because immediately people want to believe it's true because they've got loads of money and they've got shirts and they've got this and they've got that.
Irrespective of the teams and the locations, you've got to have a strategy. The first thing is, what does the sport want and need?
Well, hold on. The first thing is those two bids have got to have the money to be able to fund a team. And if they aim to get in Super League, then they're going to need probably 10 million quid if they're coming in League One.
The interesting thing is that actually technically Ottawa don't, because they're a relocation. They already own a seat at that table.
Yeah, but they've still got to have money to run a team in League One that's based halfway around the world.
But that team is Hemel.
Well,
But
what's
they
your
don't
point?
exist.
So they're playing in Hemel or they're playing in Ottawa?
Well, no, all they want to do is take what was Hemel to Ottawa.
Yeah, well, that's fine. They've still got to have money to play in League One.
Well,
and if they're going to have any ambition to get out of League One, they're not going to spend 50 grand, are
theoretically
they?
they don't, because theoretically teams in League One get a grant of £75,000.
So you're telling me Ottawa are going to come in and spend 75 grand
They're
and play on the
already
other side
there.
of the
What
world?
I'm saying is they're already there. It's a different. I think we're confusing the two, thinking that they're the same, and they're not.
They are the same. Ottawa
No,
have got to
Ottawa-
have some money.
Ottawa
If
is
they're
a-
going to,
well-
are Ottawa coming in to play in League One, or are they coming in to get in the
Well,
Super League?
no. According to a long interview with Steve Mascord with Eric Perez, they are coming into League One and will take time. They've no intention of being in Super League in the more recent future. They're not going to do a Toronto.
Well, in my opinion, then I would say, are they welcome at this point?
All I'm saying is, can you keep out somebody who's already a member of your club?
But they don't have a
Well,
team.
yeah,
running
because
the
that would
league.
have to be ratified, wouldn't it? If Leeds
But
say,
I'm
all right,
just
we're off to
saying,
play in
it's
China, that'd have to be approved
It's
before it was allowed to
yes,
happen.
but it's slightly different to
Yeah,
setting
I
up
get
a new
that.
club.
I get that, but they've still got to prove that they're viable.
Well, they are saying that if they were in League One, by taking on Hemel's licence, which was due back in 2020 anyway, because Hemel only stepped down for a year, that they're just relocating. Will they be any less competitive than West Wales?
Interesting how I got on Twitter. And that.
So you want to go all the way around the world to play a team that can't win a game?
I'm not saying that, but that's what they're saying they're going to do.
Right.
They're going to pay for everybody to go over there.
No,
but
see, that's going to cost money. So have they got that money?
Well, they say they've got that money.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, it's harder to keep somebody out who's already in.
Scary, you'll speak in a minute.
They're not there, but they're not in yet because it hasn't been ratified, has
No.
it? That move hasn't been ratified.
But it's a different. All I'm saying is, for people out there thinking it's solely about expansion, the two are comparable. They're actually not.
But they still need money, Phil.
And
Some
players.
of the money.
And players.
Some
And
players.
players.
Some money.
That's
Yeah.
Mark.
But if you're going to play in League One and your aim initially is to be competitive in League One, you don't need as much money as if your aim is to be in Super League within 2 years by storming through the divisions like Toronto have tried to do.
Nick says Hemel are based in Dewsbury anyway.
Yes.
Well,
Or
Sheffield.
Oh,
Interesting because I've got the Twitter up and then things just come up. Premiership Rugby, you've heard of them? They're the other ones. They missed the word union out of their name. £50 million in losses. Their club's only one team in the black last year. Waiting for the investigation into that. I know it's a favourite topic. There you go. Ben Barber says Toby, he's one of the players. Well, it's interesting. He was in I think it's in League Weekly. Or might be League Express. One or the other. That some lawyers, they love it, saying, we're not too sure whether this, what they call it in the NRL, stand-down policy, whether it's actually legal or not, and whether the RFL should be able to follow that as well. So, as I say, when the panic button's pressed and Ben Barber's back, he'll be back. Because someone will panic.
He will. Now, we'll see what Thursday brings. I am all for expansion, but, and I know you say, no, it's not expansion, relocation. It is expansion.
Well, it's a strategy for deciding what the. I mean, Eamon McManus.
But therefore, as you just said, right, so you want Toronto playing Ottawa to get a TV deal, and Ottawa coming and say, we're all right in League One here, we're just tossing about down here. What's the point in that then?
Exactly.
We're not letting them in there. If we're coming in and saying our aim is to be in Super League in 3 years, and here's a £10 million that's going to get us there.
That's not their aim.
Well, therefore, they're not going to get a TV deal, according to you.
The interesting thing, I think, is Eamon McManus has been over to Perpignan with his Netherlands team, and he has said that he would like to see Toulouse in Super League. Now, again, what is the plan? He's one of the 12 people that is in charge of the direction the sport's going in at the moment. Is his version of how we should be expanding the sport the same as his other 11 chairmen? What actually is the policy?
So if Toronto and Toulouse getting in the next 2 years, which could feasibly happen, and Catalan's staying, we'd have a quarter of Super League, not even in the UK. Well, that
So
will
what's
go
the
down
plan?
well with Sky. We're trying to sell satellite dishes.
And with certain clubs who consistently
Well,
talk
well,
about away support.
Well, I'm just going to say there, fellas, you know, like the RFL at times have moved the goalposts. If Leeds finish bottom,
Of course they should.
will Leeds be relegated? Or will it become a 14-team comp with Toronto and Toulouse in there?
If I were I'd to make sure Leeds, one of my biggest clubs, was in the main division.
This is where...
I'm asking the
Because
question,
they're
will the goalposts be
Well,
moved?
this is where, if the two Super League and the RFL got on and we're all wanting the same thing, you could say, well, I'll tell you what, Toronto and Toulouse, you go into Super League, we'll still have the 2 up, 2 down from the thing in League One and thing, but what we're going to do is we're going to put the 2 new teams into the Championship, because we see little point, if they're coming in, Why waste £1 million in League One? We're the best one in the world because all you're doing is saying League One, sit once, why even working? And well, we've got more money than you, so we're going to win this league. So that's another year for you just to stay down there. Another year wasted. It's another year wasted for everyone. We didn't have enough teams in Super League, or went down because we said the quality wasn't there. Well, Toronto have got a team that could compete in Super League. Toulouse probably could with a little bit of investment. So do we look to go up? But then are they going to want to share their little pot of money between the other two clubs? No, they're probably not. Exactly. Or are they going to have to? Because Toronto don't get a piece of that money. So they might welcome two more.
Yeah, but my question is, if Leeds finish bottom,
will
Leeds be relegated?
No, they won't. No chance.
Who knows? This is the RFL. This is the RFL that the
no, it's not Super League. That's Super League.
The end of the
Super League are not going to let Leeds play in the Championship. That is absolutely.
But at the end of the season last year, we came up with an extra game between Swinton and Workington, so anything could happen. We've no idea, do we?
Well, this is the point. This is the point. And that's the big decision. And this is where Robert Elson and Ralph Rimmer now behind the scenes should be saying, "We need to have a chat about this.
Well,
we need to sort this out." So we're all singing off the same hymn sheet because it looks Tom Noddy that they're arguing between each other. It looks pathetic, and they need to sort it out. We want expansion, but it's got to be done right, and it's got to be done for the betterment of the competition, not just for one or two teams or a guy that owns and wants to spend some money.
And like we've all been saying, would there be an enhanced or a better television deal in the Americas if at least Toronto were in the top flight? At the moment, I think the agreement is that they keep all their television money. But I'd also be talking to the French broadcasters saying, if we did have two teams in Super League, that meant you could have a French team at home every week. You could have at least a couple of derbies every year. Can we get some serious money out of you? And be doing that now. Well, because come 2021, we're going to need that money.
Karen says, why should rules change because it's Leeds? Because we are a business.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's as simple as that.
Sadly, it is.
And if Waker were at the bottom, no one would give a toss, but it doesn't matter.
No.
I'm saying this. Leeds are the biggest club in the sport. But we're not a big sport. We can't afford to have... And I know Bradford...
Why they can't get Bradford back in?
Exactly.
Well,
apart from the people within like Bradford who hate Robert Elson until he offers it. If Robert Elson came along and said, "Hey Bradford, come and join our party," they'd go, "Oh, we love you, Robert. You're great." They'd be straight down on their knees begging him. You know that, and I know that. And that's why they're all bloody hypocrites. Bad enough. Mark says Pyongyang Pions. Well, there would be, but I think we don't have the copyright.
They had a marathon there yesterday.
They did, yeah.
Open to outsiders.
Yeah, I should have gone.
Selling t-shirts.
So you want your bit of run quick. If you're struggling at the back, you might not...
Funnily enough, I think every winner was a North Korean. Anyone who threatened them, just step back a bit.
Yeah. Right, are we doing our predictions?
Yeah, feel free to buy our t-shirts, by the way. Everyone wants us. Just get in touch with us, tv.4020@gmail.com. That's the address of the quiz as well.
You need to tweet that out.
I will do. So if you want a t-shirt, that's where to go.
Ticket giveaway.
Ticket giveaway for the whole derby. You go see the legend. He'll meet you before the game, and you don't wear out white because you're getting tomatoes thrown at you and stuff, and it tends to stay in white clothes, I think.
They'll be buying a £3.50 pint of fizz.
Yeah.
We will see.
I don't want you to go to the bar anyway if you're on official duties. Don't want you to get tanked up.
It has been suggested as well. I said, yeah, I'll do it because I'm led to believe on match days they have an ex-player takes a match ball out onto the pitch, and it has been suggested by the head of the ex-players, Keith Tingle.
He
said, "Scotty, would you do it?" So I said, "I'd be delighted to do it."
I will donate £1,000 to charity. Like, if I can get on the top of that main stand opposite with a paintball machine gun and absolutely batter you with it.
That's a bit harsh.
That'd be super.
I think that'll put 3,000 on the game.
I said to Keith, I said I'll do it. So whether it's going to be allowed, so I don't know. But I'd be delighted to do it. Of course I would. Absolutely delighted. Go out there with the match ball with a derby.
We don't want to turn it into Scottish football where they just spend all day chucking stuff at players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's just from the press box.
Well, there were some, we haven't mentioned this, but some allegations of some very bad behaviour by supporters over the weekend at one match.
Right.
Hopefully the RFL investigate that, if indeed it's true.
Okay.
Andy says we need to talk about Saints and Wire. Come on, there's a game on here.
Yes.
It's difficult to talk about games when they haven't happened.
No, it's not. St Helens against Warrington. I cannot wait for this. I have got to be honest. I'm going to be going for Warrington in the predictions. St Helens quietly going about the business. Had a bit of a kick in the guts at the weekend.
Did they?
Warrington flying.
Did they? Saints playing at the moment quite a few youngsters. They're getting fantastic experience.
Yeah.
Defended pretty much manfully in really poor conditions. I don't think that defeat will do them any harm.
I'm not saying it does them any harm. I just think it was a bit of a. It will dent their confidence.
No, I don't think so.
I think Warren should be the warm favourites for this. I really do. I think Warren's
they'll be going off level.
Well, we'll see. We're going to do the predictions in a minute. But what are you looking forward to in that game?
I'm looking forward to the battle of the front rows. Hill at Clark and Cooper against Thompson, Walmsley and Roby. That is just worth admission alone. I'm so much looking forward to that because obviously Cooper's been left out the England side, you know, so from there, not that he's got a point to prove, but he'll be getting ripped. He's playing plenty of minutes. I would imagine Chris Hill might have a word with Coach Price as we didn't say, Steve, just keep him a little bit longer, you know, I just want to keep going with the right example. So, but yeah, there's quality all over the place, isn't there? And all right, yeah, Saints, yeah, they got beat by Catalans, but I haven't got any credit to Catalans. I thought Catalans' defence was absolutely immense. You know, Saints had enough opportunities as fellas on the Catalan defence, certainly the goal line, the scrambler defence were brilliant. So, but yeah, there's quality all around the field. Everybody seems to be in good form. Is Theo Fard's coming back? Is he not back? Is he not?
No, not this week.
Well, certainly that makes me mind up. Makes me mind up because I saw Danny Richardson play at the weekend and Danny's gone so backwards, it's untrue. Seen him play at League two or three times this year, and he's got to change his philosophy where he just stands and waits for the last tackle and just looks to kick the ball. He's got to inject himself a lot more often than what he's doing. And yeah, last season he was doing that. He seemed to get the respect, but he's gone backwards for mine. And well, if Theo Fires doesn't play, then it's Warrington certainly for me.
Exactly.
Certainly for me.
Warrington are getting 4 stars. 4 stars, Saints.
I know this goes wrong every single week.
Well, if we're doing the predictions now, then certainly if Richardson's playing instead of Farge, tell you what, I'm going Warrington by 10.
Phil?
I think Saints have got a couple of big men coming back who they didn't take to France. I think Richardson will benefit from playing in that game because he hasn't been playing at Super League yet this season, but that experience will do him really good.
He's been playing awfully, I'm telling you.
Well,
I
think coming back and having a game under his belt before he has to play Warrington will be...
He was a man for the big occasion, wasn't he?
Yeah,
up until the last 2 months of the season.
And I think, again, when you
He
come back...
was. Did he kick the winning penalty after the hooter against Warrington?
When
he came to the big occasion, Mark, he failed.
No, but when
the last 8 games.
He did in the opening few months of the season.
Yeah, the opening for he was outstanding up to round 23.
They might get
up to round 23.
When you come back into a team, I think the first thing is you're going to be conservative, but having played that game, I think I'm going to go for Saints. Saints at home. I love the way they've played this year. I don't think a defeat will do them any harm at all. I think it'll refocus them and put them back on track. I'm going Saints by 6.
You said 10 score, didn't you?
Yeah, Warrington by 10.
I don't think as Phil says, I don't think the defeat means anything at the weekend, does it? Because teams are always going to lose.
Yeah.
These runs do not go on forever.
And it didn't derail Warrington losing in Castleford.
No. But as I said a couple of weeks ago, I've seen Warrington and Saints both at Bellevue. Warrington in that 20 minutes were as good as I've seen a team play, and then they matched that the week after by playing for 80 minutes against Hull. It's interesting having had that game against London last week where they could perhaps ease off a little bit. Saints have had to go full pelt last week, but they've got these numbers missing. You're concerned about Danny Richardson, aren't you? Because you don't want another young British halfback to be on the scrap heap so early, especially someone who's in the dream team last year. I've got to go for Warrington, and I've got to go for Warrington by 8.
Saints at home, different proposition. Look, I'm with you, Phil. You don't read it. A lot of teams will go to Catalan and lose, and it won't be a defining moment in their season.
I think it's a defining moment in Catalan season, or it should be.
I just look at St Helens, and I haven't seen a lot of their games, but the ones I have seen seem to be just job done. You know, this is a St Helens team that nearly lost to Leeds. They nearly lost to Leeds. Just put that into perspective for me. They nearly lost to Leeds. I think at this point in time...
Best defence in the competition.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Can't argue with that. By 19 points, and Warrington have got the best attack by 49
but
points.
I think defence will win it.
I don't know. I think it could. I'm expecting it to be quite open. I think there'll be a war up front early. I just think, and it's not Blake Austin, it's not Darryl Clark, it's not Ratchford, it's not Declan Patton, it's not Mike Coote, it's all of them. They're all there. If you're going to say anything, they've gone too early, Warrington. They're playing too well at this point. They don't need to be playing this well at this point in the season. But like Castleford, they generally beat whoever we're put in front of them. I think Warrington will win. I think this is a huge game for Warrington. They're building themselves up. We're the big misters here. Look at us, we get big crowds. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're better than all of you lot.
We're signing
And I like
players
that. That's an arrogance that they're backing up because the results are backing it. The crowds are backing it and the signings are backing it. They are the biggest team in Super League right now, in my opinion. Warrington Wolves by a mile. I think they'll go to St Helens. I think they'll win. I think we'll see a drop goal somewhere. I think Warrington will win by 13.
Because another Warrington player I was going to say then, and for me, is they're quite a cheat at this moment in time. Is he not that Clark in the forwards?
Jason Clark.
Oh boy, he's just going under the radar. But what a job he's doing in that forward.
I just think at this moment, and
he's
they might
doing
look,
a
St
sensational
Helens
job.
might turn it on. I think, if I'm being honest, Saints need to step it up a level this week, and we'll see if they can. And they've got a big game against Wigan to come next week as well. So this is a big period for Saints. Not saying they can't win. I think at this moment, Warrington are the better team. Right, Huddersfield Cass Thursday night. Scully.
Well, Huddersfield, yeah, showed a bit of form. Was it a surprise loss to Wakefield? Well, I said Huddersfield by force, we issue from there, but I just feel as though Cass, even though they've got a couple of injuries and Max Shane up there, I think they're going along right, and they seem to like to play Huddersfield as well, Cass. The last few years that they've done okay there, so Huddersfield, yeah, they'll need to bounce back. Easter coming up, but I just feel as though Cass, a few big players out, but I think they'll do enough, and I think Cass will win. I'll win Cass by 8.
I think Cass as well. On the basis of the fact that you couldn't be anything other than impressed with the character they showed in the second half last week. That it doesn't really seem to matter how many troops are out. I think they've got that belief and resilience. A couple of times, Darryl Powell's been upset with their attitude, but I just can't see at the moment Huddersfield stringing together enough consistency. We don't know what we're going to get from one week to the next.
And I don't think they know what they're going to get either.
So I'm going to go with Cass by 6.
Yeah. Rich?
Well, I'm going to upset the cowbell army. You're going for Cass as well. When you come back from that kind of deficit, that's something kind of performance, isn't it? Even with those key players out. Huddersfield just can't work them out. They look good in parts on Friday against Wakefield, but couldn't get the job killed off. So I'm going to go for Cass. They are minus 4 point favourites on the handicap Cass, and I'm going to go for more than that. I'm going to agree with Scully and go for 8 as well.
Okay.
I think Huddersfield have got some players coming back in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, they have.
We haven't
They
seen
have.
the 19's name.
No, this is a peril of doing it on a Monday. People,
Well, I'm being
quite often
I'm
by the
being
end of the
rubbish
week, I
as well.
change my mind as well. I do. Like I said, okay, on Thursday.
They get those players back for the busy Easter period.
Yeah, they do. As horrible as the loss was at Leeds, the win this week is the other way, isn't it? Because they were 20-0 down or whatever it was, and they've won by 10 points in the end. And I think that's one in the dressing room that says, yeah, we're still here. We're still here. They're 2 points off top. They've got a busy, they've got Wakey coming up next week, Cass. I think season defining, it's not, but it could be a huge couple of weeks for Cass. They could almost cement themselves in the top 4 or 5 if they can get a couple of wins over this Easter period. I do think they'll win. I think it'd be quite tight. I think there's an honesty coming back about Huddersfield. They're having a dig again, whereas they got blown away a couple of times. But they beat Hull KR, they beat an out of sorts Wigan. It's not mind-blowing form, is it? And I think Cass just have too much. But I think it'd be tight. I'm going to go Cass by 4. Yeah. Right, okay. Wakefield Wigan is the Friday game at Bellevue.
Which shouldn't be on at the same time as St Helens.
Well, it shouldn't really. And I ain't being rude. I bet half the Wakey Wigan fans will want to watch it.
Of course they will, yeah.
They will.
But I think Wakefield, they've always, for the last couple of years, have done pretty well, even though at times it might have been end-of-season games and Wigan finished 6th, and then they absolutely hammered them, didn't they? 70-odd points there at Wakefield. So Wakefield like to play Wigan, and the way that Wigan literally capitulated last week in the second half against Cass, I think that'll still be in the memory bank, to be honest with you. Wakefield don't play on that. I think if Wakefield get ripped in, they have a dig in the first 40 minutes, I think they could end this game, like if Wigan fought they did against Castleford. I'm going for Wakefield. I'm going for Wakefield to beat Wigan quite easily. I'm going Wakefield. Wakefield fans, don't be coming in, don't be going ballistic. What I'm going to say here, but I'm going Wakefield, and I'm going Wakefield by 16.
Yeah, I can't see Wigan recovering from the second half performance at Cass. I think that was a real blow. I know Adrian Lamb again pointed out that there were a lot of youngsters in there and it'll stand them in good stead, but I don't think it will this week. I think Wakefield will have the confidence of not playing as well as they can, but coming up with a victory against Huddersfield. I think even if Sean O'Loughlin's fit, I'm not sure that that's enough. I think Wigan will really miss the physical presence of Gabe Hamlin. Whatever the right reasons why he's not going to be there, that is another blow. That's a big body that they're not going to have access to. I can see Wakefield starting this at real speed, getting a lead that they're not going to let go, and I think Wakefield will win by at least 12.
Big Dave bashing people in his pink shorts. Wigan are the minus 2 point favourites with the bookmakers, which
Are
is
they?
yeah, which is not a. I think, as we said many times, Wakefield seem to play better when they're not the favourites, and I don't know whether they'll see themselves as favourites for this one or not. Yeah, got to go for a Wakefield win. As Scray mentioned, what's that? 60 points to the year, 50 as well. We're not going to go for that now. I think it'll be an odd number. We've seen a lot of drop goals before half time as well to screw up these predictions. So I'm going to go for Wakefield by 11. I don't know why 11 doesn't make much sense, but I've gone by 11.
It's going to be interesting, is it? Obviously, Gildart is flying at the minute, isn't he? Wakey have lost Bill Tupu and Tom Johnson, as we know, long term. That's a blow, but I think the forward pack, we saw it, they were awful for 20 minutes against Warrington for an hour. They outplayed the Warrington pack. You know, they would look like they were going to win the game, and if Danny Brufford had taken a little bit more care with that next to last kick, they may well have won that game. They've got points in them, Wakefield, we know that. I think there's a bit of a swagger coming about Wakefield, and look at the table. If they beat Wigan, they're 6 points clear after 10 games of Wigan. This is one that they'll be saying, we win here, lads, and when we're putting our foot on their fingers are hanging on the edge, we're putting our foot on our fingers. And with you, when they're expected to win, they don't win. Is this a coming out performance, if you like, of Wakefield saying,
Putting a market out.
this is when's Tom Johnson going to go sign for a big club? This is when Wakefield turn up and go, you know what, we are a big club and we're going to beat you, we're going to batter you. And I think they might just do that. I know Lachlan and Flower probably come back this week, but the days of going to Waking Cass and getting cheap wins have gone, and they didn't get one at Cass, who had half a team out. I don't think they get one this week. I think they're going to get beaten. I'm going Wakefield by 25.
I did enjoy someone saying on Twitter after the Leeds game on Thursday, hooking out, when's Bill Arthur going to ask Conrad Hurrell when he's going to sign for a big side?
Yeah. Last one, Catalans Hull then, the Saturday night game on the telly.
Jeez. Well, you're two sides here when you talk about consistency. Where is it? Where is the consistency? Catalans, you know, they can beat States, they can beat Warrington, and they get hammered by Salford and get hammered by Wigan, and then Hull. You know, the performance from there, Gareth Ellis is back from there. It's not been a bad ground for the Black and Whites to go there over the last couple of years. I think they've done okay, but again, the consistency with both sides. I don't think it'll be a pretty game to watch, if I'm honest with you, and I don't think there'll be much in it. But you know what? I think it's going to be 7. It's going to be 7. Mr. Steve's going to get a drop goal, so I'm going to Black and Whites by 7 this weekend.
I have no idea. There is absolutely no form line.
Well, we know that. What about the prediction?
There is no form line in this game. I mean, Catalan are as likely to lose by 40 as they are to win. Hull are as likely to carry on the great result they got at Salford, and that was a great. You couldn't see that coming with the way they played the week before. I don't know. I think you say it's a defining week for Wakefield. I think it is for Catalan as well, because for all of that they can concede a lot of points and jag wins against teams they shouldn't. They're beating the top 2 teams who've looked invincible. They are joint third. I don't think they'll let go what they did last week. I think it's great for them in particular that they're at home again on consecutive weeks. We're not talking about, then they go on the road and they're a totally different team. I think Catalan will win this. I think they'll probably win it by 12.
Catalans I'll go for 8 again.
I'm going to go the other way to score. I think it'd be Guijo drops the goal. I think Catalan will win. I think they'll build on that win last week. I think what we said about Hull, the wins they've got have come against the poorer teams, and I think even as poor as Catalan have been at times, they are the only two that have been Warrington and Saints. They are a good team. I think this is a tough game for Hull, and do they have one eye on the derby? If you ask Lee Radford, you can win one. Which is he winning? It's the one on the following game, isn't it? I think Catalan will win by 7.
Another 7.
7. Right, that's it. We've overrun. We need to get a clock. Where's the clock gone?
It was stolen by some of the people.
We've had a clock stolen. It's like that scoreboard of Wakefield.
We're just having too much
It's been
fun.
stolen. All right. Repossessed it. Right, that's it. We've done. Don't forget, you can win tickets for the whole derby. Go throw stuff at the Legend. We do actively condone that as long as it's soft fruit, nothing that'll hurt you. And you can also, if you want a T-shirt, Leeds in Crisis. Go on, Workington. Come on.
Men.
Leeds Men in Crisis. Sorry, Leeds Men in Crisis. No, we'll see what happens if they lose to Workington, Phil. Good luck to Leon Price. Thanks to Gary, thanks to Phil, thanks to Richard. We're only joking, we're only
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Well, we might be. We'll see you next week.
It's alright, we're not off to Italy on Friday, we'll be alright.